It is 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, February 28th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. We even tell some jokes that make the richest man in the world laugh.
I know.
I was telling So the best get I got out of all of that yesterday with Elon Musk commenting on one of our jokes with the fire emoji and the laughing emoji was that my kids think I'm awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And that's all I really need.
Although now I feel like I'm shadow banned on Twitter. Just everything I see.
Doge is coming for Bill.
Yeah, all of a sudden my feed's just black. I don't know what it is. I figured he found out about me and now I'm screwed. Oh, well. That's okay, though. Probably deserve it.
I was telling my family about this. I use Grok, his little AI app on X, to write the joke. And I typed in, write an email from Mayor Mike Johnston on the 5 bullet points he achieved to Jared Polis, make it progressive and over-the-top funny and ridiculous. Yeah. And it spit out this joke, and I read it on air yesterday.
Really good.
And it was okay. It was okay. There's no overflow of text messages coming in going, that was the funniest thing I heard all morning. So I was like, well, I'll throw it up online, get a few likes, little chuckles. Yeah, so this thing that I thought was just kind of a toss-away little bit from our show, the most powerful man in the world loved, and got a chuckle out of.
The thing that I think that what sold it was the open. Because the way that it opened was, hey there, space cowboy. and then it kept going into, this is the wokest mayor. And, it just, the opening 2 sentences just nailed it. That was the thing that it set the table for everything else. I think that was made it so good.
I love the closing where it said, my staff tells me I'm trending on X. I don't know if I should buy stock or sue you or something like that.
Yes, it was really good. It was very thematic, and it was perfect. It was great.
Well, coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, we're going to talk with Karith Foster. I got to know Karith at CPAC. Absolutely lovely person. Didn't know about her background. Fascinating. Served with Don Imus. She's been on Fox. She's been on lots of different programs over the years. And then I watched her TED Talk last night. Yeah. And it's very powerful. So very excited to have her joining us here in just a second. But first, news and comment with Blake.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff and Billy. TGIF 31 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 63 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
What we saw evidence of was CSAM, this child pornography. This is the issue that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office completely missed.
Jennifer Freeman, attorney for a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, and AG Pam Bondi is livid in launching an investigation after the corrupt New York FBI field office withheld Epstein documents or destroyed them. I'm sure there are plenty of copies. So the entitled holdovers, anti-Trumpers, deep state, FBI, not following orders, and Bondi gave them a deadline to deliver this morning. The new FBI director, Kash Patel, is the one who has to clean it all up. So this is his first challenge. Bondi's deadline to get the actual report passed a few minutes ago. Remember, years ago, FBI seized computers, bank records, videos, photos, file cabinets, warehouse full of evidence from Epstein. He goes to jail and allegedly kills himself. James Dennehy is probably douchebag number one, responsible for not complying and following orders. It goes deep. Remember, James Comey's daughter is a U.S. assistant attorney in the Southern District of New York. The cover-up is on, so a lot of FBI, a lot, and CIA, they're in their own world, running their own government. Damn the American people. Benedict Arnold's 2025. Ukraine President Zelensky in D.C. today to meet with DJT and sign a deal to share Ukraine mineral resources. He wants security guarantees against Russian aggression before the deal is made. They need a fair election in Ukraine ASAP. Investigative journalist Laura Logan with a big story this morning with an expert witness that includes the documents that Dan Crenshaw, who poses as a conservative Republican, he's a deep state opt, a lefty, lobbying aggressively in Congress to prevent DJT from listing the drug cartels as terrorist organizations. New York Times, they didn't like designating them that label either. So Crenshaw undermining DJT, masquerading as a patriot, helping the flood of fentanyl into the country. Nearly 150,000 Americans die every year from fentanyl. And Logan exposing Crenshaw once again this morning. J.D. Vance with 47 and UK Prime Minister Starmer on Thursday defending himself again on the free speech issue.
I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history.
Yeah, unless you go online and say that illegal immigration is destroying your country, then you have British police at your door knocking. And speaking of that, this is what Elon posted on X at 2 o'clock this morning. Navy veteran Hung Kao, American patriot who knows what tyranny is, running for Senate.
This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story.
And that's what this administration is fighting. Globalists, leftists who want this country destroyed. And that's what they have wanted for decades. 4 suspects are in custody after a search at a property in Aurora. Multiple police units served a warrant at a residence in the 1900 block of South Uray Street Thursday. 16 people were initially detained, and officers reportedly found evidence of criminal activity. 3 people were arrested for active felony warrants, while the primary target of the search was arrested on narcotics charges. Police have arrested a suspect for a stabbing in downtown Denver earlier this week. The police arrested 41-year-old Cecilia Middleton on Thursday. Middleton was taken into custody after stabbing in the 1500 block of North Broadway on Wednesday. Hey, the Friday night sky will be setting for a rare occurrence as the planets are set to align. Just after dusk, Mercury will join Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Venus, and Saturn in the western sky. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills. Locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplacepatio.com. Bucks beat the Nuggets last night, 121-112. It's 27 in Boulder, 28 in Wheat Ridge, and 31 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue TGIF.
The job is already a cooker pressure. It's already incredibly
difficult. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Through Sunday, the weather will be quite nice here in Denver and along the Front Range. February ends nicely. March starts nicely before the weather changes next week. We're going to be upper 50s and lower 60s today, low to mid 60s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Nights will be mostly 20s and 30s. It'll be dry through Sunday, although Sunday will bring increasing and thickening clouds. Monday starts mild, but by Monday night into Tuesday, areas of rain and snow and temperatures trending colder. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center. Boy, we've got a lot to talk about today. Andrew Tate, the Tesla attacks taking place. What happened with the Epstein releases? All that we're going to get through throughout the show. We're going to finish with some cowboy poetry. I want to tell you first about my friends over at Art of Granite. Are you ready to transform your kitchen or bathroom into a stunning masterpiece? Look no further than the Art of Granite, your premier destination for exquisite granite, marble, and quartz countertops. For over 15 years, Mitch Floria, the owner of the Art of Granite, has been crafting and installing custom countertops, fireplaces, showers, and more. Their team of experts will guide you through the selection process, ensuring you find the perfect stone to match your style and budget. Visit the showroom in Golden or browse their online inventory at theartofgranite.com. Discover the endless possibilities for your home renovation project. Mention KNUS and get a free bathroom countertop with new kitchen countertops, or choose a free kitchen or bathroom sink with any countertop package. Don't wait. Transform your home into the oasis you deserve. Schedule your free consultation with Mitch today. Go to theartofgranite.com. That's theartofgranite.com. Mention KNUS for these exclusive savings and transform your kitchen or bathroom dreams into reality with theartofgranite.com. All right, so last week, CPAC, great event, had a ton of fun. One of the reasons I go is I get to make a lot of friends with some great people. And the folks sitting next to us, broadcasting from Radio Row, was the Lawyer Dana podcast, but Karith Foster was a part of that as well. Karith has got a remarkable background, all right? So she's a radio and TV personality. She's from Fox and Friends, CBS, former co-host of Imus in the Morning, author of You Can Be Perfect or You Can Be Happy, and CEO of INVERSITY Solutions, an organization she formed over a decade ago to bring people together in a healthy, non-combative way, unlike what we've seen most recently with traditional DEI efforts. She's got a really powerful TED Talk, and we struck up a great friendship. She joins us this morning. Karith, thanks so much for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We are good to go. Co-hosting
we're not allowed to talk.
I'd love to get your perspective on this. I grew up 80s, 90s. I graduated as a millennial, year 2000, publicly educated. And there was this push growing up that we were going to move past all the racial things that plagued our society in the 50s and 60s. We were going to embrace Martin Luther King's vision of judging a person not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And then in the mid-early 2000s, it's like we pivoted and we're like, you know what we're going to do? Put everybody in groups. We're going to identify them based upon these group identities markers, and then we're going to pit them against each other. So, you know, if you're a white male Christian, you're an oppressor. If you're a member of the LGBTQ community, you've been oppressed. If you're black, you're oppressed. If you're Asian, you're an oppressor because you're so successful. And it felt like this weird pivot happened, and all of a sudden we're back into putting people in lots of just meaningless categories rather than focusing on their the content of their character, what they think, what they believe about particular things, and you became identified more by these little identity groups. What were your thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100%, and I'm in that camp. I personally, though, think that this is very intentional. I think what started as DEI, what started as critical race theory, if you look at the origin of what those things were, they were actually positive and good. And somewhere along the line, they got distorted. They got hijacked. And it's the hypocrisy that I can't get over. And it's hypocrisy from multiple angles, right? Hypocrisy of people who are supportive of DEI, but then want to exclude people from the conversation. That does not make sense. It's just like saying, I'm a Christian, but I'm not going to practice Jesus' values and not judge. So we all need to have a little bit of a come to Jesus meeting with ourselves, as we say here in the South, and get people to realize that, you know, maybe there's another reason we're feeling pitted against one another. And not to get all conspiracy theorists, but I cannot help believe that this has been done intentionally. You know, men against women, black against white, gay against straight, cis against trans, like all of this stuff. We are human beings having a human experience. And what's fascinating for me is when I go and try to take this message, especially to college and university campuses, and I basically get dismissed or blackballed because I'm not coming in as the angry black woman, stereotype, by the way, that wants to, rattle the cages and put everyone in their place and make you feel bad if you're a straight white guy. Nobody can help the body that they were born into. Like, absolutely no one. So the idea is, how do we create a space of conscious empathy, noble compassion, right? We obviously are not all having the same experience. We don't come in the same bodies, the same shapes, the same socioeconomic backgrounds, but it's about having respect and value and worth. And that's why I coined the term inversity, because diversity, look at the first three letters, D-I-V. What else starts with that word? Divide, division, divorce, right? And we're expecting diversity to bring everybody together.
So inversity is let's shift the focus from what separates and divides us to what it is we have in common. How can we be truly inclusive of one another and introspective? Understand your value and worth so you can see it in somebody else. We've been trying to do all this stuff from the outside in. That's never going to work. Only we can change ourselves. We can't change anybody else. You see all these people fighting online, trying to, just push their opinions on someone else. That's not going to change how they feel. They have to want to change from the inside. And you're being mean and cruel and bullying whoever you are on whatever quote unquote side you're on isn't going to make a difference.
We're talking with Karith Foster. She's founded INVERSITY. And Karith, you have a unique background in comedy as well, and I want to talk about that and your connection with FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. FIRE defended me and did a great job when we brought a challenge to the Colorado State Capitol on free speech grounds. They're a wonderful organization. You serve on their board of advisors, and you're a comedian. Talk about the importance of free speech in the art of comedy in particular.
Oh my word! I mean, comedy is
the truth tellers. So I got my degree in broadcasting. That's why I was so thrilled to be on a morning radio show like you all have. But what I found was you don't get to tell the truth, not like you do in comedy. I mean, you get to tell a version of the truth, but you still have to go along with what the sponsors say, what the network says, if you're at, with one of the big ones, the big ones. And comedy is, I mean, if you look at anyone who is out there, from Bill Burr to Dave Chappelle, these are my friends. They get to say what's really happening, and they get to do it with no holds barred, and it's brilliant. And so if we lose comedy, I was also in a movie called Can We Take a Joke? Which, if I made it, it would just been a series of people going, no, because nobody can take a joke anymore. And that is part of free speech, and that is why I am associated with FIRE and have been with them for many, many years. What they are doing, I'm so glad to know that we were able to help you. That's awesome. I didn't know that till just now. But I think people.
I was looking at your background. I was like, oh, she's on fire. And what happened was I was wearing a sweatshirt down to the Colorado State Capitol on some abortion issues, and I was at the time working for Colorado Christian University, and CCU was known as Pro-Life U. So I was just wearing a sweatshirt. I wasn't being disruptive or anything. And I walked into the Colorado State Capitol Senate gallery wearing the sweatshirt, and they escorted me out. And they said that they have a prohibition on any type of political speech. And what FIRE challenged them with was define political speech. If I wear a support the troops sweatshirt, am I going to be escorted out? If I wear a rainbow flag sweatshirt, am I going to be escorted out? And because they really couldn't define political speech, and there are lots of examples of them allowing at least progressive political speech and not conservative one. They were really backed into a corner. FIRE did a great job, and as the result was the Senate no longer has those bans on political speech, on apparel.
That is awesome. Yeah. That is so fantastic. Well, you know what irks me really is that everybody thinks, not everybody, okay, that is like whatever. Many people are under the belief that free speech is a straight white guy conservative thing, when in reality, everybody should be concerned about free speech. It is not partisan. In reality, people who have their speech really kind of dampened down the most are people of color, are women, are people who find themselves kind of on the fringes. So it should be an everybody issue.
We're talking with Karith Foster, founder of INVERSITY. Jeff was booth mates with her. She was right next door to us when, Jeff was there at CPAC. The ankle monitor wasn't taken off yet, so I wasn't allowed to leave the state. But Karith, what you were talking earlier about the idea of identity politics and letting people be who they are. And I see, when we talk about politics and we talk about our society, I see us failing in that directive over and over and over again. The one that I think is the easiest low-hanging fruit is the transgender issue. I'm not talking about transgender in sports, but when you mention the idea that nobody can help the body they were born into, there is a push in this society that transgenders are just mentally ill. That's not the body they were born into. They were wrong, and they shouldn't be allowed to be who they say they are. How do you react to the transgender issue?
Bill, I have a fascinating personal story about this.
Yeah.
One of my best friends happens to be a transgender male. Now, after years of struggling with this, what is happening? Why do I feel like I'm in the wrong body? He ended up getting a full medical workup just a couple years ago. He's in his 40s, right? Turns out he has, I'm not going to disclose names, but,
yeah, fine.
one ovary and one undescended testy. Like, this is a person who is truly middle sex. So all of that confusion was legitimate. Now, is that the case for everybody that's out there wanting to be a they, them, or switch? I feel like there's so many factors at play. Many of them are psychological. Many of them are people wanting to feel special. Like, you remember, Jeff, you and I are kind of in the same age. Like, when people wanted to be goth, right, and wear all black and stand out. Like, I feel like this is the new goth. And I'm not dismissing people who are suffering. That is not what I am doing at all. But I do think that there is, especially with parents of young children, like 5, 6, 7, who are like, my kid's this. You Your kid wants to be a pirate. Your kid doesn't know what they are yet. Why are you forcing any kind of sexuality on a child? And my friend, who is transgender, is also a proponent of stopping the crazy. And he calls himself the transgender mentor, and he works with families and with children who are feeling confused, saying this is a permanent decision. If you do these things, you will permanently change. And so he's been on an outlier
in that community because he's like, look, this isn't okay. And he just wants to live peacefully his life with his wife and not be bothered and not have to deal with all the, and it's kind of the extremists on all of these sides that we see making the most noise and ruining it for everybody. It's like they're the people that are like, this is why we can't have nice things.
How do you react to the idea and the push that transgender people are groomers? That's something that we hear on our show from the callers and texters and things all the time, that those individuals that are trans are obviously grooming people. Now, I agree with the stance that it sounds like your friend is taking, where this is not a decision that should be taken on when you're a child, that this is something that you can approach and go after when you're 18 plus. However, I do think that as a society, we don't allow those kids to, I wouldn't say explore their sexuality, but there is a shame component designed to someone that claims they're transgender that is not going through any sort of medical treatment or procedure. And so just allowing them to be trans, we don't necessarily like that. And I do disagree a little bit with the goth characterization because I don't know any parents that were pushing their kids to be goth. But you went into a parent example on that one.
Touche. Yeah. Well, there's this Munchausen by proxy, right, of these parents who want to be like,
look at what a good parent I am. I'm supporting my child in this journey. And it's like, are you supporting them or are you forcing them? Is it because you really want the attention, or are you someone who is trying to actually behave as a parent that has the best interests of your child? And I cannot speak for all parents. I cannot speak for all trans people, obviously. I can only speak for myself and my experience. And what I do believe is that, look, our brains aren't fully developed till we're 25 years old. The prefrontal cortex doesn't really come, whether you're a man, a woman, you're not there yet. You know who knows this? Car rental companies know this. Insurance companies know this. Why are we letting people make major decisions about children's bodies that could permanently affect them before they're even really sure of who they are? So, I think there are other components to this. I mean, again, heavy metals in food, in water, in vaccines. I'm probably going to get in trouble for that. Well, maybe not on this channel. But there are things that do affect the chemicals in people's bodies. And so I think to just dismiss it blanketly as they're just confused, they just want to be special, or, their parents are forcing it. Like, I don't think we can do that. I think we have to be more discerning about how we address it, but we also have to be kind to people who may be struggling with their identity.
That's the problem that I think that I have, is that we are not kind to those kids that are struggling. And I understand the idea of the Munchausen by proxy, but I think it goes both ways, because there are a lot, we do have cases of parents that are pushing their kids towards being trans. We also have cases of parents that are like, there's no way a son of mine is gay. There's no way a daughter of mine is trans. There's no way. And they will take steps to do that. I have friends of my kids that have been kicked out of their house because of sexual orientation or being trans. So it happens on both sides. And the other thing that I want to talk about as far as identity politics, I want to start with the trans because it's the easiest low-hanging fruit, but we do it cross-sectionally inside of our society. The Republicans for years have been defining rhinos. They've been shrinking the tent. If someone doesn't adhere to whatever the chosen orthodoxy is of the moment, they become rhinos and are excommunicated from the party. We also now, for whatever reason, in the past 3 years, have decided to define judges based on who appointed them. We never for years talked about who it was, but now it's an Obama-appointed judge. It's a Trump-appointed judge, a Biden-appointed judge. So we are qualifying who the judge is based on political affiliation before they're even allowed to make a ruling. And then we can even go, Jeff and I will talk about it later, the idea of the return of masculinity with Andrew Tate. I mean, he comes from a position where women are viewed as property. Yet he's celebrated in some realms of the Republican Party. He's celebrated in some of the realms of the young men that supported Donald Trump in the last election. In your opinion, how do we get beyond this idea of identity politics, which seems across all political spectrums, seems to be woven so tightly into the existence of our society? How do we get beyond it?
We get beyond it by looking at the individual, by stop lumping people into categories. And I get it. Like, that is human nature. That is a survival instinct. Because if we can identify a person, a group, whether it's a threat or a friend or a foe, like, we then feel more comfortable and confident. And so we have to get our ego out of the way and be like, okay, they may be this affiliation, but let me see who they are as a person. Now, do we have time always to do that? But maybe not. But what we can do is understand and recognize our own biases, which is, the biggest bias is the one that, we want people to be like us, who look like us, who talk like us, who think like us. But how frigging boring would the world be if everybody was exactly the same? So we can't have it both ways here, where we want this great experience in life, but we only want to be with people who are like us.
Yeah, music and movies would suck if we were all the same. That'd be awful.
Well, and it goes back. We're in Colorado Republican politics all the time, and the division, all that brokenness, and I keep going back to every year. I think everybody should read 2 books: the Holy Bible and How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, man,
and the idea of bringing people along instead of attacking all along. Well, we're talking with Karith Foster. She's a radio and TV personality. You see her on Fox and Friends, CBS, former co-host of Imus in the Morning. She's the author of the book, You Can Be Perfect or You Can Be Happy, and the CEO of INVERSITY Solutions. I strongly recommend, take a few minutes, I think it's only about 10, maybe 15 minutes, go watch her TED Talk, The Art of Defying Stereotypes. She and I both wearing cowboy hats at CPAC, which, we were defying stereotypes. It was a bunch of D.C. conservatives, and there we are with our cowboy hats on. Karith, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you. I encourage people to go follow her on X at Karith Foster, spelled Karith Foster, Foster, and get to know her more there. But it's been very delightful to talk to you, Karith.
Yes.
I would love
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back soon.
Conversation.
This is great. You've been wonderful.
Take care.
Take care of the kids. Have a great day.
All right, we'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Great conversation with Karith Foster. I want to get into it later with her, but in the TED Talk, she talks about Don Imus. Did you ever know Don? Did you ever run into him in the radio world?
Not as far as personally, but yeah, familiar with his work, listened to him. Yeah, he was one of the guys to look at because he was one of the early bridges into talk radio. He was one of the people that went, outside of the music industry and started. And his approach was different than Rush. And so early on, he's one of those people that you studied as far as what he was doing. Yeah. So I'm very familiar with him.
So the story with her was fascinating because Don Imus did the comments about the women basketball players.
Yes, and the hair.
And then lost his job. He comes back. She becomes the co-host. And she talks about this in her TED Talk. And then she's just like, no, he's a racist prick.
Yeah.
I don't want to quit and all this stuff.
Yeah.
She tried to defend him, all that stuff, tried to help him back through. That was all Karith Foster, who you just referred to.
Oh, that's fantastic. She was a lot of fun. I hope she comes back. She's got a wonderful perspective and a very unique life story that I think she's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that Imus was just a real grouch, a real grouch. Real difficult to work with at times.
In the TED Talk, she gets into the fact that he wanted her to be the person that could go after black women on the show. And
so you're going to be, you're going to be the person.
You're going to be that. Yeah. And why won't you go after black women and all that other stuff? And I guess he felt like he had the right to be able to mock them. And then when he got canceled, she became the opportunity to continue to mock them.
Yeah, but through a filter. Yes. Oh, my gosh. Now, I want to take a moment here, Jeff, to tell the listeners about a new advertiser that we have, Wound Care Associates of Colorado. We've talked about why it's personal for me and also Jennifer, who founded it. Now, Jennifer Walker founded Wound Care Associates of Colorado after a tragic story inside of her own family. That her uncle, who had some other comorbidities, he had diabetes, he had neuropathy, but he developed a small cut on his toe. It didn't seem like a big deal, but it became a very big deal. See, that torn skin tissue, that becomes a highway for dirt, germs, and bacteria to get access to your internal organs, your blood flow, your bones. And, okay, Uncle had some other things he was dealing with. So a little cut that was taking a while to heal doesn't seem like a big deal. However, it became infected. By the time he sought medical help, it was infected to the point where they needed to amputate. After they amputated, it didn't end there. In fact, it ended poorly for him. The infection had spread to such a degree that he passed away only a few days later. The amputation was supposed to fix the problem, and he ended up passing away. Jennifer Walker vowed that's not going to happen to anybody else. This is personal for her, and that's why she started Wound Care Associates of Colorado, and that's also why Wound Care Associates of Colorado is changing the game. You can check out their work at coloradowound.com, coloradowound.com. Here's what makes them different. First of all, it is the old school concierge house call service. Their nurse practitioner that is wound care certified comes to your house, comes to your home, your apartment, your condo, wherever it is. They come to you and they make sure that you get the treatment in the comfort, privacy of your own home. My aunt was getting a wound treated and she was exposed to MRSA during one of those treatments. She wasn't in her own home. And that's what Jennifer wants to avoid. So you get this in your own home. The nurse practitioner designs a custom care plan just for you. And most importantly, they want to heal the wound. My aunt ran into that difficulty where they were just trying to maintain the chronic wound she had on her leg. She was exposed to MRSA, and that caused a whole bunch of other medical issues, including some amputations, just because she was exposed to it because the company wasn't trying to heal the wound. It seems crazy that you wouldn't do that. But that's exactly what many wound care facilities do. They just try to maintain it. Fix the problem. Don't ignore the problem. You're not one of those people that takes the black electrical tape and puts it over the check engine light on the car dash. No, you're not that kind of person. That's why you don't ignore those chronic wounds. If someone in your family has a slow healing cut, a diabetic ulcer, a pressure sore, that can lead to an incredible medical complication. Do not mess around. What seems like a little deal can turn into a very big deal. Talk to Wound Care Associates of Colorado, our friends, the people that we trust. You're going to get the personalized treatment in the comfort and care of your own home, and they're going to heal the wound. That is their focus. ColoradoWound.com. Reach out to them, ColoradoWound.com. And when you talk to Wound Care Associates of Colorado at ColoradoWound.com, tell them you heard about them here on the Jeff and Bill Show because it helps us out.
That's great to hear, Bill. Coming up next, You Choose the News Loser Edition.
Yes.
You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
All right, to all you fellow losers, it's your time of the morning to really shine with You Choose the News Loser Edition.
Yes, it's that time of the morning where we bring back those stories that Jeff and Blake felt weren't worthy of our attention. It is You Choose the News, the Loser Edition for our Friday.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
Loser!
Let's go. Loser! You're a loser!
The Losers Club. Bunch of losers.
You're such a loser.
You made me feel like a loser!
She's a loser.
You are such a loser.
Loser.
Yes, here are those stories that Jeff and Blake passed over earlier this week. Now, you know how this works. Stupid stories, me give them dumb headlines, and nobody knows we are doing this because the people in charge have no idea and they don't wake up for another 7 minutes. So this is just a giant secret that we are this irresponsible with valuable ad time and airtime. Okay, Blake Olson in the newsroom, Jeff Hunt in the studio. Here are your choices, gentlemen. And I use the term loosely. Here we go. Headline number 1, butterfly effect. Headline number 2, that's Miss 13 Hotel to you. Headline number 3, fiery breakup. And number 4, death noodles. Mr. Hunt.
Start with the death noodles.
Yes,
dude.
death noodles. Here we are traveling to China. Foodies in China have reportedly been flocking to an unlikely destination to get their ramen noodle fix. A place where a lot of people are dead. A funeral home. A funeral home in China has gone viral because evidently they serve some of the best ramen noodles around. Hordes of diners have been posing as mourners, showing up to funeral services where they have no idea who's actually being memorialized, just to have some of the delicious noodles. Well, the funeral home has realized this could actually turn into something where we can make some money. So they've started to turn around and offered their noodle dishes during breakfast and supper hours. It'll cost about $1.38 per bowl. They do ask you, though, that you stay away from the mourners and don't try to bother them and be a little quiet. So they now run a funeral and a diner, which is a weird thing. I'm not sure. Yeah, you're like, I'm not going to go to the place where the dead people are to eat. There's so many questions. Yes. But again, they went viral because their noodles are so good that now people are pretending to be funeral attendees. I think that's fantastic. Alrighty. Now, Blake Olson, your choice, sir. Butterfly effect. That's Miss 13 Hotel to you or fiery breakup.
Let's go with the butterfly effect.
Yeah, butterfly effect. This is a little scary. A Brazilian teen has passed away after experimenting with butterflies. Seems innocuous until you realize that, well, he suffered for a week in agony before passing away. What did he possibly do? He took a butterfly, crushed it up into little bits, mixed it with some liquid, and then injected it into his bloodstream. Yes, he injected a dead butterfly into his leg, and doctors are saying he had an allergic reaction, created a huge infection inside of him, and they believe he suffered from an embolism due to the allergic reaction. They don't know how he prepared the mixture, the size of the fragments, but they got into his body. There may have even been air, they say, left inside of the syringe, and that'll cause an embolism or a blockage in a blood vessel that can lead to sudden death. They also think that the teen, because they're not really sure what butterfly he used, that possible toxins inside of the butterfly could also create an allergic reaction because it was injected directly into his bloodstream, and then his body had to deal with it a little bit differently than if it was a normal infection. So, yes, again, kids, don't do everything you see on the internet. Don't inject the butterflies into your body. That's not a good idea. The thought process.
I feel like there's like a Care Bear thing that could have happened there, right? Rainbows coming out of his tummy. Who knows? And, isn't that how Spider-Man essentially was created?
No, he was bitten.
Right? I know he's bitten, but
he didn't inject
a little bit of injection into your blood, and all of a sudden you can fly.
I just look at it and go, the idea of crushing up the butterfly and then injecting it in your body, it's like the thought process that's involved in there, the levels of stupid is remarkable. It's like these are layers of dumb decisions you would have to make to get to that point. But, oh, well. Alrighty, Jeff, your final choice this morning. That's Miss 13 Hotel to you or fiery breakup.
Is there one that's better than the other? Is there one you
not necessarily. They're both kind of fun.
Let's do fiery breakup.
Fiery breakup. Here we are staying in China yet again. A Chinese student recently sparked a fire in his dormitory because he was afraid that his roommate was going to find out about his girlfriend. The fact that she was inflatable and made of silicone made it more awkward. Yes. What happened was he was having some special time with his inflatable girlfriend, and his roommate returned home a little too early. So he was shocked and needed to make sure that he got rid of the evidence. So he lit her on fire, causing a larger fire inside the dorm room that then ended up for the entire dormitory being evacuated. So everybody there in the entire school learned about his special friend. Even the students were told afterwards, please do not light anything that is made of silicone on fire in your dormitory because it can cause things like this. So yes, he was trying to avoid embarrassment, and now everybody knows who has the girlfriend. You got to go one of two directions.
You're either leave the school never to be heard from again, or you try to turn that into some benefit
was hot,
for you.
though.
Yeah. Nicely done. Way to finish, Blake. You win in the morning. That's fantastic. Oh, my gosh. That's the end of You Choose the News. Back to you, sir.
All right. We've got a lot to talk about. Andrew Tate, the Epstein Files. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is 710 KNUS.
Friday, February 28th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations, you just woke up in the greatest country in history. Donald Trump's your president. Let's kick it off. We got a whole hour planned for you of engaging conversations, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. Phone lines are open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. He's got to have the hottest interview coming up.
Yes, he does.
Holy cow. After what happened at the IHOP?
Yeah, it's amazing.
This is a big deal. Joining us to preview his show coming up this weekend, Peter Boyles. Pete, it was a wild morning at the IHOP. Lawsuits being served, and now you're going to talk with Darcy on Saturday.
Well, what have you boys done now?
It was full on Real Housewives of the Colorado Republican Party at the IHOP on Wednesday.
And because I had an appointment, I generally hear the show, and I knew you guys were on remote. And when I was in the car, headed to the remote, in the truck, headed to the remote, you had the first candidate on.
Yes.
And I'm looking, Billy gave me their names. I'm looking at both of them on the internet. So I heard that first segment, and I was actually down at the radio station, and I was watching because I was cutting a promo for the show. And I had been approached to have the other woman, I guess we got the suer and the suee, right?
That's right.
And,
Darcy Shanning and Britta Horn.
Yeah. And I know their names from the past as, and I don't mean to disparage, but minor players. They weren't the front burner players. And now they are. And so anyhow, so I hear all of this second, third, fourth hand. I'm getting calls from everybody because they heard the promo. So if you would, from fish to nuts, tell me what happened.
Yeah, so we interviewed Darcy in the 8 o'clock hour. Darcy Shannon currently serves as, I believe, the director of special events or projects for the Colorado Republican Party. She works alongside Dave Williams. She's part of Dave's team. And questions around, is this a sign that you believe you can do better than Dave? All that stuff, great conversation. So she had answered all the questions, didn't shy away from anything. And we then had Britta set up in the 9 o'clock hour, and that's typically how we love to be as the show.
Oh, yeah.
We're kind of we're a neutral place where both sides can come and put
Nice
their
try.
positions out. So
it's good radio.
Yeah, right. So we noticed that Darcy was sticking around. I'm like, all right, that's interesting.
Doesn't happen often.
That doesn't. Yeah, that they're gonna an opponent's gonna sit around, and both these women are battling for the future of the Republican Party. They both want to be the chairwoman of the Colorado Republican Party. Darcy coming from the Dave Williams faction, Britta coming from kind of the not Dave Williams faction, and she was part of the effort to install Eli Bremer over the
I remember
over the
all of
summer,
that,
right?
course.
Do you remember that?
Remember Billy? Eli used when he was running for office. Sure,
he'd come in all the time. Yeah.
So she was
came in all the time.
Part of the team on that, and so she feels that Dave has led the party in a very wrong direction and wanted new leadership, all that stuff, and took steps to try to achieve that. So we noticed Darcy sitting around, and Darcy is laser locked on Britta. I mean, laser, like she's not talking to the other folks. She's just waiting. And I guess I didn't see this, but when Britta first walked in, her hands were full. And Darcy tried to serve her with the lawsuit at that point, and Britta wasn't going to take it, so she just let it drop on the floor. Well, Britta comes and sit next to me for the interview, and she goes, "Watch this, Darcy's about to serve me with a lawsuit." And I go, "Really?" And Darcy's sitting next to Steve Schreiner from the NRA. I think he had an open seat. He had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, he was involved.
So Steve and Darcy are sitting next to her. Darcy's, she's got her eyes laser locked. She's waiting for that right moment. And I said to Britta, well, you should talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it on the air. And Britta goes, I can't say much. It's a lawsuit, all that stuff. and she was, from my perspective, taken back by it all, and a little.
You don't think she knew? Just for my edification, do you think she knew it was coming?
I think she knew, yes, because they had talked about it in the media. But no one likes being served, and unless you're Donald Trump getting served on a regular basis, you're not used to it. So, and I just said to her, well, think about how you could message around this if you wanted to. You're a political figure. Take advantage of every moment and figure out how you're going to message. And so Britta goes, okay. And then up she comes right before the interview starts. 30 seconds before the interview starts, drops the lawsuit right in front of her and says, Britta, you've been served. And then Darcy heads out, and I don't think sticks around for the interview.
No, not at all. Yeah, she was gone after that. It was weird that Darcy was hanging out and waiting, but then it made sense once she arrived at the lawsuit. That made sense.
Well, somebody said Kyle Clark wrote about this or talked about it. No,
he did.
I'm hearing all this stuff.
It was actually pretty funny. Do you still have that audio, Bill?
Yeah, it's on the board. Yeah, you can run it. Yeah,
you want to hear it real quick? This is actually really funny.
Yeah, the way they wrote it was great. But notice this though, Pete, as you know, and we understand how Channel 9 rolls. They don't mention the fact about the radio show. We don't get call letters. We don't nothing. A minute and 8 seconds into the script is when they finally mention the radio show. And I'm like, man, yeah.
So here's Kyle Clark that same night. By the way, IHOP. A lot of promotion out of all this, so they came out looking great. But here's Kyle Clark talking about the event.
Like many families, the Colorado Republican Party tends to have its fights and meltdowns in public. Today, one faction of the party served another faction of the party with a lawsuit at an IHOP restaurant. As diners in Greenwood Village enjoyed the breakfast faves combo, the house scramble, and the pancake of the month, one candidate for the Colorado GOP chair dropped a double stack of litigation on the plate of a rival. This stems from the Republican Civil War over whether to replace current state chairman Dave Williams, who is accused of misusing party funds for his failed GOP primary bid for Congress and for the hassle he created for Colorado Republicans with his call to burn all pride flags. But back to the IHOP, home of the new spicy shredded beef anytime tacos, where the spicy lawsuit served this morning shreds the Republicans who tried unsuccessfully to force out Chairman Williams. She got Darcy Schoening, current party leader who's running for chair in next month's elections, who served papers this morning on Britta Horn, a rival candidate for chair who was part of the uprising. They were both at the IHOP for interviews with a local talk radio show doing a live broadcast from the Pancake House. Neither woman waffled when I reached out to him today. Schoening says Horn stole money from party donors. Horn called it a frivolous attack. You may recall the Colorado GOP has a bit of a history of airing its grievances at random businesses in the suburbs. In 2022, we dubbed it the Boot Barn Rebellion, when the faction of the GOP that's now in control was on the outside. They got turned away from the Republican Party offices, so they stood in the parking lot of the Western Wear Outfitter nearby, hollering that their party leaders were whores.
We have a Republican Party that is full of whores. They've not held to the U.S. Constitution, and then you wonder why these can't win a race.
Those Boot Barn rebels now lead the Colorado Republican Party, leading us to this morning's IHOP dust-up. So if you're buying boots or breakfast in the suburbs and you hear ruckus, might just be Colorado Republicans working things out.
So
that was good writing. That was good writing.
That was funny. That was very good writing.
Yeah.
So you've got Darcy on tomorrow, Pete.
Yeah, but it was a pre-book. It wasn't. She wasn't booked after your main event. This was a request that was made. Yeah, I've never even met her, and because of Billy, I mean, I know more now off air because of Billy, and now with you guys in that cut. You're right. Guys over at iHeart are going, how much would that have cost us?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So who do you, I mean, I have to sort of retrench here. I don't, is there going to be an equal time thing, or should I invite the other woman in at the same time tomorrow morning? The answer is, you better not.
Yeah, better not. No, but yeah.
So who do you guys, I mean, this goes back to the Dave Williams overthrow, and this goes back to the Rhino part of the Republican. This is Republican Party. This really has a tail, doesn't it, guys?
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
this is really long tail.
And look, from my perspective, Pete, it goes. I was on the inside of the battle between Ryan Call and Dudley Brown back in 2012. So going back 12, 13 years ago now, this has gone on. And it always bugged me back then because my focus has always been on the left. I feel like Democrats are destroying the state, and our guns need to be, I shouldn't say that, but we need to be focused in the right area. And the fact that we're always fighting internally, we're always pointing our guns internally instead, bothers me. It really does bother me, and so. I'm going to be a resource for whoever wins this to talk and drive an agenda forward. But the circular firing squad, the constant bickering with it. And I was telling Bill this, I was reading a Wall Street Journal article about a giant lawsuit that's popped up outside of New York City where parties have spent $25,000 on legal fees over a $25 Amazon gift card. And
I've been following that.
Yeah, and there was a great line in that article that goes, the smaller the stakes, the more vicious the fighting. And sometimes I feel like that's what happens in politics, where you're like, the local battles, the little state party GOP stuff. Sometimes the smaller the stakes, the more vicious the battle. And
Jeffrey, I mean, you grew up in it, and Billy's watched it and been part of it. How does the Republican Party Civil War that you're absolutely right has lasted? Actually, after I think after a couple of major figures dropped out or we lost them, and after that it's been this really brutal. They're more brutal to one another than they are to the Dems.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah, that's the thing with
this. And it's rooted for me. It's rooted in losing. And we're just losing. We lose all the time. So if you're the Broncos and you're losing all the time, you blame the water boy. If you're the Republicans losing all the time, well, it's that guy's fault. It's always this guy's fault. We just need to be more conservative. We need to be more moderate. If you could lay a foundation of winning even little local races, you could start to build confidence again, and people unify around winners. It's that simple.
I mean, there's so much to this, but this is the one state in this last election, that even, places that you would not think that the Republicans would gain, they gained. It didn't mean that they took the state, but they did major league gains, except for here. Donald Trump lost more in this last election than he did the one 4 years before.
Yeah, what I can't think about this in the lawsuit is, how does this lawsuit help the GOP expand their base and expand their representation here inside the state? I can't figure out how this would possibly help. And here's the thing is, I go back to, and we remember, long-suffering Bronco fans will remember the era of Dan Reeves. And we remember the punishment that the New York Giants put on the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl. And I remember a couple of days later, Dan Reeves is doing a press conference, and he was asked about a couple of the Giants players that were bailed out of jail, I believe it was the night before the Super Bowl. And his quote was, "I would be willing to pull some Broncos out of jail the night before a game if it meant we were coming home with a trophy." That's not exactly what he said, but that's what he meant. That's, the voice was, he said, "I would be happy to have those guys on my team if it meant we were going to win." And here I see the exact opposite.
By the way, I think it was Pat Boland said that.
It could be,
said, "I take my guys out Saturday
night." Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you have the now infamous Rhinos watch list. You have all these different things. And the Civil War is the Civil War. And I don't see an Appomattox here. Jeffrey, do you? I don't see one. I don't see where somebody says, keep your sword. I don't see any of that. I see it just getting intenser and intenser. And with fairness, do you think Dave Williams was going to go to work for Donald Trump or will go to work for Donald Trump?
I know I think he wants to.
Okay.
And I asked Darcy about this as well. If Dave gets in, are you going to drop out? So is this? And I asked Britta about this. Is the play here Dave is looking for an administration job, and if it doesn't come, because you can do a floor nomination 5 minutes before the vote in March. You can jump in and become the new chairman. And then Darcy withdraws because that would allow Darcy and Britta to battle this out. Dave kind of stays out of it, looks for the administration job, which I think, look, I want to work for the Trump administration. What a great moment for a conservative to be able to be a part of all this. So I could see Dave pursuing that, but if that doesn't work out, he may want to continue with this job, and Darcy could withdraw. Dave steps in. But I do sense there's a pretty strong movement out there to want to move past this divisiveness, and if Britta can tap into kind of a unifying message, it seems compelling to a lot of the grassroots conservatives out there, from my perspective.
And there's no term limits on the job.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, think about all the guys that have gone through this: Dick Wadhams, Ryan Call, Steve House, Christy Burton Brown. This is a brutal job. This is a really brutal job.
There's been some bad things that went with the bad things.
Yeah.
And no, somebody once said you set them up, but thank you. I mean, I heard from, I can't tell you how many people, phone calls and. Did you see this? Did you hear this? And talked to some people last night on the phone. And I mean, this is a mini earthquake inside of a big earthquake. And first of all, congratulations. I mean, great radio. Number two, I mean, she's coming in tomorrow, and she's with us in our 10 o'clock hour.
That's great.
And she's coming, and I want you to know that I booked her, or rather Adam booked her, prior to the dust up, and then you are the story of the town again, and that's really what radio stations want to be.
And it came down to both of them being willing to be there, which I appreciate. Yeah. And that's the aim we have for this show, is for them. And Darcy had a fine interview. Britta had a fine interview. But I want the debate. I want the battle taking place right here on 710 KNUS.
Yeah, we will toe the line with anybody. We absolutely will. We'll stand up and we'll take it for anyone.
The IHOP thing is brilliant.
It's so good. That's so well written. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. And the part I heard is you guys' moms were sitting together at the IHOP.
Yes. Yeah.
And the funny thing was, I don't even think they noticed this happened.
No, they didn't. They were so deep in conversation.
It was watching two moms talk about their grandchildren and coming out to support their sons, but then the conversation went absolutely in the direction of grandchildren.
Absolutely.
Of course, Jeffy, I knew your mom back when we were working with your dad, and 100%. Billy, I know your mom from when, and I heard you guys say that on there, and I thought, what a nice moment. You know, both of you guys have
really
great
cool.
moms. No, it was very cool. Wow.
Yeah.
So
Pete,
you're going to have the must-listen to interview tomorrow on the program, and your program from 9 to 1, right?
Yeah, and she's on at 10.
And she'll be on at 10. So you want to catch the entirety of Pete's show, 9 to 1 on Saturdays. Darcy Shanning, 10 a.m. tomorrow. This is a must-listen to.
Yeah,
and she's coming in at 10. Like I said, I'm going to go back on your podcast and listen to this, and and I'll call all the, who the surrounding people are, and I'll call them and say, okay, but God, that's beauty. And then, how do you think? Final question. How do you think Kyle Clark gets onto stuff like this? Because I don't think
I think he follows Jeff's Twitter account.
Yeah, I posted on X that just happened. I was like, I'm literally sitting next to Britta Horn, and she was served with a lawsuit by Darcy Shanning, and I think he pays close attention to the X account.
Yeah, he does. He likes Jeff's account. He doesn't want to admit it. That's okay. We'll get him a T-shirt.
So does Pete. Did you see Elon Musk commented on one of our jokes too?
Yeah.
Which one?
This was a smart thing.
Yeah, this was really funny. So we used his little AI platform to come up with a little bit yesterday on our show of what Mayor Mike Johnston would write to Elon Musk in his 5-point email.
The five things he did over the week.
5 things Mayor Mike Johnston did over the week to ruin the city of Denver and to make it more progressive, all that stuff. So we used AI to come up with it, talked about it on the show, posted it. It got a few chuckles, a few laughs. But then we got a comment from Elon Musk that he thought it was hilarious.
It was so good. Yeah, and it starts off with things like, hello, hey, space cowboy, and here's Denver, here's the USA's wokest mayor type of a thing. And it's really good. It was fun and well written, and Elon liked it. So in other words, Doge is going to Doge me, and they're going to try to eliminate me from the show. But that's okay. We'll fight the good
fight.
Guys,
your show is become must. I mean, it's.
Thank you.
Jeff, you came in, and Billy and Jeff has DNA that takes him back into this business.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got,
That's right.
And Billy, you've come such a long way, and congratulations, and thanks for setting me up a show for tomorrow.
Must listen.
Thank you. Must listen tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 710 KNUS on Saturdays. Darcy Shanning joining him live in studio at 10 a.m. You're not going to want to miss Must Listen Radio. Pete, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thanks for setting up my show.
Hey,
have a great day. I'll talk to you both later.
All right, have a great day.
Let's check in with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff and Billy and Peter. 33 and clear in Denver, expecting a high of 63 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
What we saw evidence of was CSAM, this child pornography. This is the issue that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office completely missed. And this is something that's so critical and could have put him away for life.
Jennifer Freeman, attorney for one of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. The deadline has passed and haven't heard anything. The holdover corrupt Southern District FBI running from the truth and not complying with AG Pam Bondi's order to get the Epstein documents to them. New FBI Director Kash Patel in his first challenge, to say the least. Bondi is livid and launching an investigation after the New York FBI Southern District Field Office withheld Epstein documents or destroyed them. James Dennehy is a corruptocrat. He's number one, responsible for not complying. And don't forget, James Comey's daughter is a U.S. assistant attorney in the Southern District of New York. Damn the American people. Who cares about them? We're the FBI and CIA, and no one polices us. Remember that. Gene Hackman's death and his wife's death are being ruled suspicious in Santa Fe. Here's the 911 call.
A female and a male, probably. I don't know, sir. Just send somebody up here real quick.
Okay. Are they awake?
I have no idea.
Are they breathing?
I have no idea. I'm not inside the house. It's closed. It's locked. I can't go in. But I see them. She's laying down on a floor from the window.
Okay. Okay. Do they appear to be completely awake?
On the way?
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No.
They were discovered Thursday, the investigation underway. Ukrainian President Zelensky in D.C. today to meet with DJT and sign a deal to share Ukrainian mineral resources. He wants security guarantees against Russian aggression before a deal is made. How's about you start paying us back, huh? Investigate this one if you can, or look into it. That's what journalist Laura Logan has done. She has an expert witness and documents that show that Dan Crenshaw, who poses as a conservative Republican, he's a deep stater, a lefty, lobbying aggressively in Congress to prevent Trump from listing the drug cartels as terrorist organizations. He and the New York Times agree.
Yeah.
What's the argument for that? Like, why?
That makes no sense.
Are they afraid that we're going to end up in a war with Mexico? What?
No.
Yeah, I don't get it.
They work, exactly.
And don't these guys
alongside.
want us fighting endless wars?
Right. Amazing. Yeah, they
Crenshaw's an interesting figure. We invited him to the summit one time. He gave a fine speech there, but he took over the seat for Ted Poe. And my wife worked for Ted Poe. She was a legislative assistant for Ted. He was this famous judge in Texas. That,
I've heard of him.
When you shoplifted, you would stand outside the store with a sign saying, I shoplifted from the store. So he was all into creative punishment. This guy was a rock-ribbed conservative. And Crenshaw's just, I started to hear it from my Texas donors that were like, stay away. Stay away. Keep an eye on this guy.
What was that, 5 years ago? 4 years
easily.
ago?
Yeah. And just kind of going, he's getting some money from some funny sources. He doesn't seem to be with us on all the things. So I started to hear that from my Texas donors years and years ago.
Dude, man.
And to replace Ted Poe, I mean, he started off great. Everybody was super excited. You had the pirate, Navy SEAL guy, but just seems to want to be the next John McCain or something.
Absolutely, with an eye patch. You got it. Crenshaw, let's see. This stat is important. Nearly 150,000 Americans die every year from fentanyl. And Logan exposing Crenshaw again. And that's interesting, what Jeff said right there. But that 150,000, as Stefan always used to remind us, that is just horrific. And guys like Crenshaw, they want to keep on happening, evidently, for some reason.
We are having great success in slimming down our government. It's been really very successful, and some took payouts and buyouts, and others took other things, and some people we're finding out don't even exist.
A federal judge ruled Thursday that the Office of Personnel Management has to resend a memo it sent to over 24 agencies calling for the mass firings of probationary employees who he called the lifeblood of our government. Meanwhile, one government department already crushing it.
The administration came to us with a challenge, something we've never done before. Process a retiree end-to-end digitally without printing anything to paper. The deadline in a week.
The first time I went to the mine, the picture I had in my mind was something from the X-Files. Some retirees have a lot of paper, a lot more.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I have to stop. This dude sounds just like Bill Clinton. I'll continue here.
Than others, and that there were a couple we encountered that actually had pallets of communication.
We were asked, how long would it take to do this completely digitally? We gasped and said, 7 months, maybe 12 months.
We got it done in record times within 2 days without printing one piece of paper.
Wow. Imagine that. It works. It's working, despite the negative press. The Air Force Academy is investigating possible honor code violations after nearly 100 cadets admitted to cheating during a weekly knowledge test. The Academy said those admitted to violating the honor code have all received punitive sanctions and rehabilitation actions. Officials are continuing to investigate whether or not more cadets cheated or facilitated cheating. Del Taco suddenly closed all but one of its Colorado locations on Thursday. A company spokesperson said that all Denver and Colorado Springs locations are temporarily closed and will reopen as soon as possible. The circumstances surrounding the closures remain unclear. The only location still open is in Grand Junction, which is owned and operated by a different franchise. Bucks beat the Nuggets last night in the NBA 121-112. 32 in Glendale, 29 in Superior, and 33 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue on Friday.
What a beautiful accent. I would have been president 20 years ago if I had that accent.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Spring-like weather will dominate the weather forecast here in Denver and along the Front Range and Plains today through the weekend. So the last day of February today looks great. March comes in like a lamb for Saturday and Sunday. We'll be deep into the 60s. Overnight lows will be mostly in the 30s. Sunshine, a mix of high clouds and sun, just great weather. Sunday will bring increasing clouds, and there might be Sunday night to our south and east a few showers. Monday, Clouding up, cooling off, rain and snow chances Monday night and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, I want to talk to you about my friend Dan Kaplis and Dan Kaplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. This guy's pro-life, pro-family, pro-faith, pro-America. He's there with us on the values. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case is going to send a message to everybody involved in the case. Think about the law firms. Think about the insurance companies, the maybe first responders, police you may have to deal with, all that stuff. You want a good lawyer, and you want a lawyer with a sterling reputation. That's Dan Kaplis. He's been doing this for 40 years, helping people hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. All right, he's a good guy. Can he win? Listen to this. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. It gets bigger. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. In fact, Dan Kaplis is so trusted that he's the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplis Law, a serious case, firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplislaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. All right, we're going to talk Andrew Tate. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. And shout out to my friend that called in this morning to hope that I die. I'm glad you're having such a wonderful, uplifting day. Hope the day gets better. And no, I'm not going to die. Sorry to disappoint you. We'll be back after this.
wrapped up the show. I had lunch with some friends, and then I'm thinking I'm going to spend the entire afternoon doing a deep dive on documents from Epstein.
Yeah, and?
And then they're like, oh, and Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan landed in Florida.
That was a surprise. That's something that came out of left field. I did not have that on my bingo card anywhere. Of all the things that I felt that would happen under a Trump administration, the Tate brothers landing in Florida, nowhere even under consideration.
I don't even think he did.
I don't think so either.
I don't think Ron DeSantis did either.
No, DeSantis said explicitly in the press conference that he had no idea.
Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan are really bad dudes. Sorry. I mean, I've watched his videos, his trainings. I've watched documentaries about this guy.
Me too.
And it is outright rape, human trafficking. Yep. It is the worst part of masculinity. And I've even debated him on X when he posted something to the effect of, like, only losers get married. And I was like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, and it's this Dan Bilzerian type of masculinity of harems of women and not really working and riding about on boats and stuff. And I get the appeal, especially to young men, right? Because like flocks of beautiful women and nice cars.
Yeah.
And
who doesn't want to have all of the luxuries, have all the hot women, and not have to actually show any work product? That sounds wonderful. It sounds like every 6th grade boy's dream at that point. Yeah.
So arrives in the U.S. yesterday, despite facing rape and human trafficking charges that are still pending in Romania. The Tates, who are dual U.S. British nationals, landed in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Prosecutors in Romania, CBS News is reporting, have alleged for years that Andrew, 38, and his brother Tristan, 36, set up a criminal enterprise in the country and in Britain in 2021, along with 2 women, and used it to sexually exploit multiple people. Andrew Tate was charged with rape and trafficking offenses in Romania, while his brother and 2 female associates faced trafficking and other related charges. The brothers have always maintained their innocence, denying all charges against them in Romania, as well as separate rape and assault allegations made by women in Britain, which are still being investigated by police in England. He says, my brother and I are largely misunderstood.
I don't know about that.
There's a lot of opinions about us and a lot of things that go around about us on the internet. We've yet to be convicted of any crimes in our lives, ever. So, true, they have not been convicted. But his own videos, Bill and I would be kicked off the air if we played. They're so explicit, so violent. They explicitly talk about beating women, raping women, making women cry during sexual activity. I mean, it's horrible stuff.
Oh, it's horrible.
And how you basically become a pimp.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
how
much
you
what it is.
abuse women.
Yeah.
And then he openly shuns biblical marriage, basically leading a Christian life as a man. All that stuff is openly rejected by him, and I've debated him on X about it because the right way is to follow the biblical teaching when it comes to treatment of women and getting married and sexual activity within marriage.
Yeah,
and it's incredibly freeing, actually.
And part of his gimmick, or part of the shtick that he goes through, is that you tell the women whatever you want to tell them in order to get them to do what you want them to. Yes. It is about the manipulation of people. Yeah. And then he turned around and he uses the women to create almost like to create sob stories to then engage with other men to get them to watch them on camera and watch them get abused and some other stuff. And so the idea is, again, it's manipulation. It's about the idea of manipulating someone in order to get what you want. And Tate, in interviews, has said women shouldn't drive. In interviews, he said that women should be viewed as property. That's a little scary. I mean, this is someone that pushes back on, and we had earlier this morning, we had Karith Foster on, and she was talking about individuals and talking about agency for both women and men and the self-direction that you have in your life. That's against what Andrew Tate wants. He wants self-direction for what he terms an alpha male, but everybody else, they can get bent. And especially if you have, ovaries, you don't get any choices.
And what he tapped into, which I think is a fair critique, but then he exploited it, was the anti-masculinity that came out of some of the parts of the feminist movement. So, you have different aspects of the feminist movement, right? Like, so should women have the right to vote?
Yeah.
And then all the way to men are terrible, masculinity is terrible. And so that wing of feminism that was pushing it, that was like, everything that's male about you is oppressive and terrible. He confronted that, which people went, yeah, that needs to be confronted. But it was his solution to that is a weird form of masculinity that is clearly not biblical and is oppressive in some cases. I mean, it's just outright rape.
Yeah. In fact, there's some things inside the movement, people that have talked about it, and I read some things online over the course of years about people that went to his, quote, university, which is just an online series of courses, and some of the most fair critiques that I've heard of those universities are there is an absolute level of misogyny that exists there. They said, but there are certain avenues that you can pick up some knowledge about doing things online. They said, however, you don't have to get it from him because he's pulling it from other sources that are available many times for free online. So getting them directly from him, the ideas, the stuff that they said could actually be beneficial is not something you need to get from him, nor did he create it or come up with it. He's using what other people have said and then putting it under his banner. But they also talk about the idea of there's an angle inside of where Andrew Tate and his messaging, and I don't know if you've heard the term, Jeff, the idea of being black-pilled. We've talked about getting red-pilled and black-pilled, or red-pilled and blue-pilled, but the black pill is the idea of you as a man are frustrated, and it is everybody else's problem that you haven't been able to live out your full masculinity, that it is the oppression of the society that is preventing you from being the manliest man that you can possibly be. Now, if that motivates you to go out and start working out, or motivates you to try to achieve more at your job, okay, fair enough.
Right.
But it also devolves many times into the incel culture. The idea of the people that are voluntarily celibate because they feel shunned and they can't then get the women, but then they turn around and they start objectifying women.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
not just looking at them objectively, like, looking at porn sites or anything like that. It's the idea of literally feeling that women should be and only can be treated as objects. They do not have to have a thought in their brain. Their only purpose in life is to submit to my desires, my wants, and my directions because I am the alpha man, and it is society's problem. And that's where a lot of Tate's messaging goes, is into the idea of being black-pilled, into the idea that it is society's fault, and the only way that you can do it is to prove that you are manly enough. And one of the ways that you do that to prove you're manly enough is to take out that aggression and those feelings of inadequacy on women around you. It's scary.
Like literally choke them out.
Yes.
And punch them in the face and break their jaws.
Yes, to show them that you are in charge, because otherwise they won't understand the power that the man has if you're not in charge that way. Yeah.
Well, this caught not only Donald Trump but Ron DeSantis off guard. And I'm going to play the audio from Ron DeSantis' response to this next. You're not going to want to miss this. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
back to the Jeff and Bill show. So we're talking Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan landed in Florida yesterday. Just to give you a sense of what I've run up against too with Andrew Tate, and I've challenged him on X. He hasn't responded, but not nearly important enough. But this is the type of stuff he posts. If all your children come from one woman, you are not a conqueror.
Okay. That's interesting.
Some of the interesting things I've been pointing out is that Jesus had no children, and he conquered it.
Sure did.
Conquered the whole world.
Yeah.
King of the world. But that's just explicitly anti-biblical.
Yeah.
Like it's a direct opposition to the teachings of the Bible with how you're supposed to raise a family and care for them, and the idea that you must, if you really want to be a man, have children with more than one woman. Is crazy. But
the thing that I ask, and I'll have you play DeSantis thing in a second. I know that's where you're going in this one. The thing for me that really stands out in that is the idea that his filter is fathering children, not being a father.
Yeah,
He's
right.
not advocating
100%.
for being there and helping raise the family. The thing that you see in conservative circles all the time about fatherless families.
Yeah.
He's
right.
not advocating to be a father. He's advocating to be a sperm donor and to get some. That's not it.
Yeah.
And that's where I would challenge him on that is like, you're not trying to be a father at all. And then I'd ask who hurt him when he was a kid, and then he'd be mad at me and try to kick me in the face. But that's okay. Been there, done
He's got
that.
an interesting story with his dad.
Yes, he does.
Here's Ron DeSantis getting asked about Andrew Tate yesterday.
Reporting out there that controversial podcaster and human crafter Andrew Tate may be on his way to Florida. Is he welcome here? What would the state do to send him back to Romania or whatever?
We have no involvement in that. I read about it through the media. Clearly, the federal government has jurisdiction, whether they want to rebuff his entry into the United States, and I have confidence that whether it's Pam Bondi or Kristi Noem, that they will be looking at that. I do know our Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, is looking at what state hooks and jurisdiction we may have to be able to deal with this. But the reality is no, Florida is not a place where you're welcome. With that type of conduct in the air. And I don't know how it came to this. We were not involved. We were not notified. I found out through the media that this was something that was happening. Okay, guys, thanks so much. God bless everybody.
Ron DeSantis.
Nice
so,
way to end
I mean, the pushback happening online among Andrew Tate's supporters is that you're a beta male if you don't support Andrew Tate. So here's my question, listeners.
Yeah.
Good to have Andrew Tate back in America. Is this somebody that the conservative movement should embrace? He's pushing back against the feminists and reclaiming masculinity? Or is this a bizarre, broken version of masculinity that he's promoting and he needs to get back to the teachings of the Bible, and conservatives shouldn't embrace Andrew Tate? Andrew Tate good? Andrew Tate bad?
Ooh.
Give us a call, 303-696-1971. That's 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line, 720-819-5115. We'll continue the conversation. And I thought we were going to get Epstein files yesterday.
I know.
We're
That was
get
a big
into that as
That
well.
was a big nothing burger. We'll have to talk about that.
We got a lot to cover. You're not going to want to miss it. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. Is Andrew Tate the type of masculinity we need?
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, February 28th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. J.K. Rowling, Bill, talking about some events happening in Colorado.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Harry Potter event? Are we going to Potter?
You know, it would be
Potterton?
better.
What are you doing?
Unfortunately, it's the Tesla attacks and how the media is covering the Tesla attacks up north by saying it's a woman that's covering this. Andy No doing some digging going, that ain't no woman, man. That's a dude in a dress. All of this going to be coming up. And J.K. Rowling weighing in on it. She's saying it's crazy how many dangerous, unbalanced, violent women have started wearing obvious man masks to carry out their crimes. Someone really needs to track down the supplier, she writes. We're going to get into this story. You're not going to want to miss it. But first, news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
All right, thanks a lot, Jeff and Billy. 39 and clear in Denver. Expecting a high of 63 today. Another gorgeous day on Friday. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, Thursday, the 47 administration sent termination letters to hundreds of probationary employees at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in Boulder and the National Weather Service. Following the news, the NOAA released a statement saying the agency remains dedicated to its mission and that the weather forecasts and warnings will continue. U.S. District Court Judge ruled Thursday the Office of Personnel Management must resend a memo that resulted in the mass firings of probationary employees. The ruling says the firings were probably illegal, but it does not reinstate workers who have already been dismissed.
We are having great success in slimming down our government. It's been really very successful, and some took payouts and buyouts, and others took other things, and some people we're finding out don't even exist.
Ukrainian President Zelensky and DJT to meet at the White House today. Zelensky is expected to sign off on a deal sharing Ukrainian mineral resources. Zelensky wants security guarantees against more Russian aggression before he signs his Victoria John Hancock to the deal. Hundreds of documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein have been released by the Justice Department. However, Attorney General Pam Bondi, of course, says there's still more to be uncovered and ordering the FBI to give her all the documents related to the case by today. We still don't know if that has happened yet. The deadline was 8 o'clock this morning Eastern, 6 o'clock Denver time. Epstein took his own life in a New York City jail, of course, in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges and much more. The FBI holdovers are in the middle of a cover-up. Kash Patel has to clean it up, and one of the attorneys for one of Epstein's victims, outraged.
What we saw evidence of was CSAM, this child pornography. This is the issue that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office completely missed. And this is something that's so critical and could have put him away for life many, many, many years ago. So yes, my client, Maria Farmer, and many other clients are very upset that they've been treated with the back of the hand over and over. I called for an investigation of this matter a year and a half ago, and I got a big fat nothing. And I got a letter that says, well, the issues and the allegations are concerning, but we're really kind of busy and we'll get back to you. And of course,
yeah, busy covering up for pedophiles who are powerful and part of the satanic globalists. More than 24 drug lords are being extradited from Mexico to the U.S. The crime bosses include Jose Eduardo Canobio, a highly ranked fentanyl drug lord in the Sinaloa cartel. God forbid I say that one wrong. The State Department has not commented on the extraditions.
A female and a male, probably. I don't know, sir. Just send somebody up here real quick.
Okay. Are they awake?
I have no idea.
Are they breathing?
I have no idea. I'm not inside the house. It's closed. It's locked. I can't go in. But
New Mexico law enforcement officials say legendary actor Gene Hackman and his wife may have been dead for some time, maybe weeks before their bodies were found. Their deaths are being ruled suspicious as the investigation continues. Officials said the cause of death reports could take 4 to 6 weeks. Karine Jean-Pierre, KJP, she lied about former President Biden every day. And then on Thursday, she ripped the Democrats for kicking him to the curb after that first disastrous debate.
I've never seen a party do that in the way that they did. And it was hurtful and sad to see that happening. A firing squad around a person who I believe was a true patriot, a person who I believe did everything that he can for this country, a person who I believe, as I mentioned before, has done more in one term than most presidents had done in 2 terms, historical things. And I was shocked by what I was.
More in 2 term. Bucks beat the Nuggets last night, 121 to 112. 38 in Aurora, 36 in North Glen, 39 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
The job is already a cook of pressure. It's already incredibly difficult.
I'm sorry. That what I was doing had value.
Blake Olson, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Spring-like weather will dominate the weather forecast here in Denver and along the Front Range and Plains today through the weekend. So the last day of February today looks great. March comes in like a lamb for Saturday and Sunday. We'll be deep into the 60s. Overnight lows will be mostly in the 30s. Sunshine, a mix of high clouds and sun, just great weather. Sunday will bring increasing clouds, and there might be Sunday night to our south and east a few showers. Monday, clouding up, cooling off, rain and snow chances Monday night and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Wow. Jeff and Bill, the Tate bros are real American men. Ron DeSantis is a sissy, and women need to learn their place, the text messenger says.
Yeah, and I asked the text messenger, what's that place? What do you define that as? I'm super curious to see what your worldview is and where you feel women have that place. And where is that place in your lives? The other question I would ask the texter is, do you vocalize this to the women that are in your social circles? Do you? I just want to know if you have the courage of your convictions. And the phone line's open, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Don't have to text. You can come in here and we can have the conversation directly back and forth. We don't have to read your text over the air. Give us a ring. Tell us where you think that woman's place is in American society.
I will draw this line. I will absolutely draw this line.
Yeah.
That if you're a man having children with multiple women, you are not nearly as masculine as the man who is at home every night with the kids at dinner time, investing in one woman. They're the children you've raised together.
Yeah.
Right? Running around with a woman there, woman there, woman there, kids there, kids there, kids there. And you can't be in all 3 places at one time.
No.
Okay? I will draw that line. You are less masculine than the man who is at home with his wife, raising one family, investing in them. That is true masculinity.
Yeah, because the hard part of this is raising the child.
Yeah.
The easy part is the fun badonkadonk. That's the easy, fun time. That's the part. I always talked about this tongue-in-cheek when my wife was pregnant. And, they always sit there and say, you always try to, say, we are pregnant. People are like, oh, we. I'm like, nah, I just participate in the fun part. I don't have any of the stretches. I don't have any of the, growing organs. I don't have any of the stuff. I don't have the morning sickness, nor do I have to push anything out of my body through an orifice like that. So I don't have any of that hard work that goes through being a mother in order to give birth. I was there for the fun part. And if you think that being a man means being there for the fun part, you know what you're talking about.
Yep.
The
It's
real
sacrifice.
work is when you are a husband and when you're a father. It's that sacrifice.
Yep.
It's putting someone else higher than you, putting someone else's needs before yours, putting someone else's desires, wants, and life ahead of yours. When you turn around and view women as having a place, when you view it as women need to be the broodmares for your amazing masculine sperm, you don't get it. Because the one thing you're not doing is taking responsibility. The one thing you're not doing is leading. The one thing you're not doing is being a father. And that means at the core, the one thing you're not doing and the one thing that Andrew Tate and his brother aren't doing is being a man.
Yep.
It's the one thing they're not doing.
Iggy, J.D. Vance seems to be a good example of a father. 7201, who wrote that original piece that said women need to go and be in their place, said their place is doing what they are told and being quiet. And then I asked him, do you have children with different women? He says, yes, I do, and I have no problem attracting women, including at church. And I told him he needs to repent.
Yeah. The issue is this. You have no problem attracting women, but guess what you have a problem with? Being a man. You have a problem with leading your household. You have a problem with being a father to your children. You have a problem being a good example. You have a problem being a person that your children can look up to and admire. You have a problem being a hero to your children because you're not there. You're not raising kids. I shouldn't say that. You've abdicated your relationship. Yeah, you're a sperm donor. You're worth more. You're worth nothing more than a squirt that some middle school kid does into Kleenex or something else. That's what you've done. That is your effort. And again, middle school boys can make that effort. The hard part is being a father. Call in. Prove that you're a man.
7201 won't call in.
Prove
and
it.
that was another point. We had a text message from another point that the folks that like Andrew Tate are actually beta males.
Oh, yeah. That's it. That's where you talk about the black pill. It's the incels. It's like the guy, the texter, that he views the idea of being masculine by doing nothing more than spreading seed. Yeah. That is easy. That's the easiest part. In fact, boys do that. There are boys all across the Denver metro area that are doing that alone or maybe with somebody. There are a whole bunch of people that are going to do that over the course of the weekend. That's the easy part. You think it's, I can attract a woman. Yeah, but you know what the hard part is? Keeping her. The hard part is maintaining that relationship. Marriage is work. A relationship is work. Getting someone and getting their clothes off, dude, that's the easy part. You sit there and you preen and you crow about the fact that you do the easy part. What you can't do is the hard part. And you know how we know you can't do the hard part? Because I'll show you. Haven't called, have you? You can't do the hard part. You can't pick up that phone. I know you have a phone. You're texting. I know it works because you're putting little messages in. But what you can't do is dial the 10 digits to eliminate that
7201
dial tone.
He has a job. He can't work.
No, hang on a sec.
He's a real alpha male.
But isn't he
they
man
can't
enough?
take a moment from his job to call in.
Isn't he man enough to turn around to his boss and say, I need 5 minutes? You can't go. You can't pretend.
Well, obviously he's not the boss.
Obviously not. Obviously he's not in charge.
No.
He can't take 5 minutes as if he's going to go, because he's got a little bit of the runs and go to the bathroom and take 5 minutes to tell us and put us in our place. No.
Alpha males don't ask for permission.
No. But the alpha male is stuck at his job and he can't possibly pick up the phone and call us. Because he's so strong and he's showing his alphaness by not being able to put people in their place. Nicely done. You've proven exactly who you are. Exactly. Come on.
0635 reminding us that women close to God in the sense that they give life.
Yeah.
And behind every successful man is a great woman. I agree entirely.
That's a great
that.
point. That the texter. Guess the one thing you haven't done, grown a kidney. Yet there are women across this country that have done that. You haven't grown a brain, have you? Pun intended. No, but there are women that have, and the women in your life, the ones that you view as need to sit down, shut up, and do what they're told. They've done things you can't, but yet you can appreciate them for that because of your worldview. And the reason is because if you appreciate them and you give them credit and look at them for doing things you can't, it cracks your masculinity. It takes away your feeling of superiority because the woman can possibly, in your mind, do something you can't attain. But a real man understands that. A real man understands their weaknesses. A real man doesn't paper over their weaknesses. A real man acknowledges them and takes responsibility. A real man also would, I'm just saying, call the show.
Well, I will tell you this. If you're interested in training up young people to embrace biblical manhood and womanhood,
yes,
Colorado Christian University is a great place to send them because they get it. They actually read the Bible. Do you know a high school student who has a passion for engaging in cultural and political issues? The knowledge and skills needed to impact the world through civic engagement is an ever-increasing need in today's society. Colorado Christian University is at the forefront of meeting this crucial need, equipping the next generation of competent, convictional Christian leadership in American politics. CCU's degree program in politics with an emphasis in public policy prepares students for the complex challenges of modern politics from an unapologetically Christian and foundationally conservative worldview. In this distinct program, students learn how to impact public policy and advance Christian conservative ideas. Colorado Christian University also houses the Centennial Institute, a think tank committed to mobilizing ideas on faith, family, and freedom to strengthen America's future. CCU's mission to produce graduates who impact the world with grace and truth applies in no greater measure than to our politics and public policy program. So apply today at ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. All right. Part of what ticks me off about these guys, too, that run around and have kids with lots of different women and all that stuff. So, look, there is so much research. And Brad Wilcox, a good friend of mine out at the University of Virginia, has compiled this, all right? You want to set a kid up for success? Like the easiest way to do it is a mom and a dad in a committed monogamous relationship devoted towards building a family, okay? Kids coming from broken homes, out of wedlock, more likely to end up in jail, less likely to graduate from high school, more likely to end up dependent on the government, more likely to have children out of wedlock, more likely to use drugs and alcohol, okay? So here's what you do. You great man out there running around having kids with lots of different women and not taking care of them, like Andrew Tate says, right? To really be a conqueror, okay? Here's what you get to do for the rest of us. I have to spend my tax dollars cleaning up the mess you created. Rather than showing up and having dinner with your family and investing in your kids and building a family and taking them to sports and actually preparing young people to be successful in life, you're running around just, having sex, not actually raising families. Those kids are more likely to struggle later in life. The government has to step in to help them. Those are my tax dollars. Those are everybody else's tax dollars, too. So don't tell me about how great a man you are by having children with lots of different women. Sorry.
Yeah. My favorite, the text messenger now, just talked about the fact that neither one of us served in the military. And I'd hate to point out to you, bro, women serve in the military, too. They're there. So if that's your test of masculinity, your idea about women need to shut up and be in their place, they just reached over the bar of what you said was masculine. I know. With all that testosterone throwing through their brain, it's hard to think. It's hard to have a complete thought. You just think with the testicles. Yeah, that's it. That's fine. And again,
Iggy's saying
no phone calls.
The Billy Real Man podcast.
The thing is, the idea is that a real man is understanding and knowing your weaknesses. And that's fine. And knowing your inadequacies, because that's what it takes to be a real man. It is that middle school mentality of not admitting weaknesses, not understanding who you are, and telling everybody else that you have to be dominant. That's fine. I mean, Texter wants to go around and pee on everything in his office, but once again, someone is his boss. Someone's telling him exactly what to do. Someone controls him, which might be why he has to project like this. Because perhaps he's in an office building or a setting in which somebody else that he may not really respect gets to tell him what to do. So this is how he reacts to that. This is the incel behavior. This is the black pill behavior. But again, and we know exactly how strong and masculine this person is because, oh, yeah, that's a dial tone again. Yeah, I know. Yeah, text messages me is one thing, but you want to prove it? You want to get on the air? Right here. You want to talk to everybody rather than just texting back and forth? I know. The funny names and everything else and the little emojis. Yes. And emojis also very, very masculine. all the really strong men I know communicate through emoji. Nicely done, yes.
You're welcome to join the conversation. Phone line open 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Campos Law text line at 720-819-5115. All right. CNN, ABC, and just about everybody else reporting that a woman used incendiary devices and vandalized a Colorado Tesla dealership. A woman, A woman is facing a federal charge for allegedly vandalizing a Tesla dealership in Loveland, Colorado on 4 separate occasions, according to a federal affidavit filed on Wednesday. Lucy Grace Nelson is facing a federal charge of malicious destruction of property filed by the U.S. Attorney Office for the District of Colorado. If convicted, she could face up to 20 years in prison. The 40-year-old was booked into Larimer County Jail and is also facing several felony charges, including using explosive or incendiary devices during a felony and criminal mischief. An investigation started January 29th when the first act of vandalism at the local car dealership was reported, followed by a second incident February 2nd. Police officers went to the dealership February 7th after reports of attempted arson. A number of vehicles and the Tesla building itself had been vandalized with graffiti, some of which were offensive and hateful in nature, police said. Just before midnight on Monday, the Loveland Police Department arrested Nelson, who they say had returned to Loveland Tesla while in possession of additional incendiary devices, along with materials attributed to vandalism. Nelson appeared at an initial federal hearing on Thursday. She was represented by Assistant Federal Defender Jennifer Beck. The Office of Federal Public Defender does not comment on cases. Nelson's mother, who was also in court, declined to comment on the case. Now, here's what's interesting about this. Not only is it potential, terrorist attacks and all this stuff, but some other journalists are digging on this, and J.K. Rowling even weighing in on it. Here's Andy No, who I respect a lot. I think he digs up and really gets to the truth on this. He writes, a radical Trantifa activist has been arrested in Loveland, Colorado for allegedly carrying out a series of violent attacks on Tesla properties using incendiary devices. Lucy Grace Nelson, a man, has been incorrectly booked into the jail as a female by the Larimer Sheriff. I can exclusively report that his real name is Justin Thomas Nelson. Nelson faces charges of using explosives or incendiary devices during a felony, criminal attempt to commit a Class 3 felony, and more. He has a long history of posts obsessing about fighting fascism and white supremacy. In recent weeks, leftists have intensified calls urging domestic terrorist attacks on Tesla property as revenge against Elon Musk and the president. Lucy Grace Nelson, a leftist man whose real identity is Justin Thomas Nelson, is referred to as a woman in the mainstream media reports about his alleged violence attack on the Tesla property in Colorado. He had his homemade bombs. Online, Nelson has groomed children into transitioning and encouraged them to lie to their families. And he has posts from a Reddit comment board where a user going by the name Lucy Grace Nelson writes this to a young person that's thinking about trans but having problems with Christian parents. If, like me, you are a girl in a boy's body, it may be helpful to delay puberty until you're either 18 and don't need your family's approval, or your family is willing to let you go on hormone therapy so you can have a female puberty instead of a male puberty. A little bit later, they said, if your parents are Christians and not supporting you doing this, perhaps you can get your parents to bring you to therapy, make up a fake reason if you have to, and tell the therapist you're trans and you need to hide it from your parents. They may be able to help you much better than that. Okay, so you have the original reporting that this was a woman who did this. Then you have Andy No saying, no, this is a man. Now you have J.K. Rowling weighing in on it, the author of Harry Potter. Because if you look at a picture of Lucy Grace, doesn't look like a woman at all. Looks very masculine. And she writes, it's crazy how many dangerous, unbalanced, violent women have started wearing obvious man masks to carry out their crimes. Someone really needs to track down the supplier. And she retweets a post of ABC News saying a woman in Colorado has been arrested after police caught her with an explosives at a Tesla dealership. This is, from my perspective, Bill, part of the problem with the trans movement is that you're getting incorrect reporting. From my understanding, according to Andy No, this is not a woman. This is a man. And all the headlines are that a woman was attacking a Tesla dealership up in northern Colorado. This is a man who thinks he's a woman, but this is not a woman attacking a Colorado Tesla dealership. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a woman. I mean, again, I don't think we need to go into the biology versus gender construct argument, because that's where this is going. If the person presents and says they're a woman, okay, fine. That's the idea.
But it's not. It's not a woman.
Yeah,
it's a man.
If the person says they're a woman and they present themselves as a woman, go right ahead. Yes.
But that's not a woman.
Why not?
Just because you say you're a woman doesn't make you a woman.
No, but you know, wearing the dress and presenting yourself as female and doing that's fine. That's okay. But that's the issue. That's what we had this morning with Karith Foster. The idea of, you know, what body you were born into and respecting someone's individuality. This is the issue, is that we all of a sudden are deciding what you can and can't be. We've decided this. And here's the fun part, is in this entire discussion so far, and what Andy's focusing on is not the vandalism, not the crime, but the crime of the person being who they are. Now, I do disagree with what they were saying to the other kids, and that happens a lot. We have an instance in Jefferson County schools of someone that is gay doing the same thing to a child. We have instances in Jefferson County schools and other school districts of people that are heterosexual doing the same thing to children. It is not the purview only of the transgender. However, with what Andy's saying, what other criticisms are, is it's because they're transgender. The issue here is the crime. This person was doing something stupid. I don't care if they identify as a male or a female. They're a criminal alleged to do this. That's what we need to focus on. Why do they feel this is the way to act out? Why is this the manner of protest? This is the idea that we have the argument about during the Black Lives Matter, the gun holes and the shots fired at our state capitol. Mm-hmm. This is the issue we have with January 6th, that we were so mad about the results of the election, we showed up and we beat police officers. It's that action. That's the action we need to focus on. The idea this person is transgender in the larger conversation is irrelevant. It's largely irrelevant to their action.
You don't think it's indicative that there might be mental health problems within the transgender community?
No, because remember Jefferson County schools, we had 8 instances, and how many of those were transgender? 0. And the vast majority of them were heterosexual. And that's the issue. So this is why what we're seeing is we see a transgender person doing something and we go, we now need to stereotype the entire population. You want to know why they feel attacked? You want to know why they feel ostracized? You want to know why they have higher instances of self-harm? Why they have higher instances of ideation and attempting suicide?
Right.
It's because of this. Because we're not focused on the. Hang on.
Wh-
We're not
why-
focused on the
why
crime.
would- why
we're
wouldn't you
focusing
point
on
the
who the
fact-
person is.
You just listed a whole list of mental health problems. You just went through a whole list of mental health problems.
Yes. Because in
And
cases
we
like this,
can't
in
say
cases
that
like
there-
this,
we can't say that there might be mental health problems within the trans community.
how and why are they caused? See, you're coming from the idea that they do this because they're transgender. And what we see inside the studies is not because of that. It's because how society makes them feel. It's because when this happens, when someone that is transgender comes out and does something like this, the entire population is indicted for it. Wasn't that the argument?
I don't
when
think
we
the
had,
entire population is indicted
you,
for it.
you just did. You just
No,
said
I didn't.
You
I
just said this
said-
shows that transgender
I
people are
said-
mentally ill and are more
No,
aggressive.
I
Yes,
said,
that's exactly what you said.
Is this an example that within the community you may have mental health problems? And then you went on and listed a whole bunch of mental health problems within the community.
Yeah, but the issue is this. You're using the mental health problems as far as why they're acting out and why they're behaving this way. And what I'm telling you is it is the lack of acceptance that creates these issues inside of them. That's where that ideation comes from. Because the society tells them they shouldn't even exist. We get on the text messages all the time that they shouldn't exist. That's where this comes from. And the idea is here. We have someone that is committing a crime, and where is the focus? Where did Andy go with his focus? Transgender. Booga, 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 booga. He didn't focus on the crime.
He's pointing out the fact that they got
He
this
didn't
all
point
wrong.
on the crime.
All of the media's gotten this
No.
wrong because they're buying into an agenda.
No, not
this
an
is
agenda.
about driving an agenda.
No, not at all. It doesn't
Bill,
matter if the
who's
person
more-
is
who do you
transgender,
think's
male,
more
or female.
accepted in the Cherry Creek School District right now, a trans person or a Bible-believing Christian with a WWJD bracelet on?
The Bible-believing Christian with
No
WWJD.
way.
Yes,
No
absolutely.
way.
Yes, yes.
By
absolutely.
the administration and their
Yes.
teachers and all those teachers
Yes.
with little pride flags up in their classrooms.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
No way.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, because you know what? They don't have to deal
Conservative
with.
Christians are treated like gay people were in the 80s and 90s right now.
Oh, that is such horse crap.
No, it's not.
That is such horse crap. That is absolutely because are the Christians being told what bathrooms they can use? Are the Christians being told what groups they can belong to? Are the
Yes.
Christians being? No, they're not. No,
They're absolutely
no.
being told
the Christian,
what groups
no,
they
the
can
Christians
have.
can belong to
Oftentimes
whatever
they have
group they
to fight
want.
to even have a Bible
No,
group
no.
in.
What?
But they're
No,
not
they can
committing
have
suicide at high rates. Just
can-
because you're
hang on a
part
sec.
of a society that doesn't necessarily accept you doesn't mean that's the reason suicidality is taking place.
But that's what the studies show. Yes.
No.
Yes, that is what the studies show. Yes, the ideation is there based on because of the lack of acceptance.
You have Christians
because they feel like that.
persecuted all over the world. They're the highest persecuted population in the world.
Not here in
And they're
America, and we're
not-
talking about
and
the
they're
issue
not
here with
committing
America.
suicide.
But we're talking about it here inside of America. We're talking about it how the and this is
Jews
what
are
happens.
persecuted
This
all
is
over
what
the
happens.
world. They're not committing suicide at high rates. Just because the society doesn't like you doesn't become the impetus for committing suicide. There's plenty of examples all over the world of this happening.
Hang on.
But it becomes this argument that somehow we have to buy into the trans agenda because they're going to go kill themselves if we don't fully embrace it.
Not buy into it, accept them for who they are.
All of these
That's-
articles are trans agenda.
What do you mean? By the person is who they
Because
identify
it's not
as.
a woman.
So, yes, it is.
Biologically, by fact, it's not a woman. This is a guy committing these crimes.
Biological sex is different than gender identity. Gender identity is a social construct. And that's fine. I understand that you disagree with that, but that's the issue here. And again, what we're looking at is this. This person commits a crime, and we're telling them they're guilty for being transgender. Not guilty for doing the crime. We're indicting them for something else. That's where I'm pushing back on this. That's why this is a pile of crap, is because we're not focusing on the action. We're focusing on who they are. We're indicting them for who they are, not the actions they take. And I thought someone could have these type of feelings and freedoms. No, freedom and liberty evidently is constricted on
Because
who you're
there's
allowed to be.
actual impacts, Bill.
On who you're allowed to be.
Where does this person get put in the jail?
Depends.
Is it fair to other women to have Lucy Grace Nelson in prison with them?
What do you mean by fair?
To have a dude in a prison cell with a woman, is it fair for the other women
If she
in
identifies
those
as
prison cells?
transgender, why would it not be? As long
Because
as the person,
it's
hang
a
on,
guy.
as long as the person is not accused or convicted of sexual assault or some sort of a crime like that, or a crime against someone of the opposite sex, then I don't see any issue. The idea is if someone that is transgender is convicted of vandalism, I don't see the problem with having them in the same prison facility as a woman. as a biological woman. If someone's transgender,
totally disagree
if someone's
with that.
transgender and they're convicted of embezzlement, I don't see any problem with putting them into a women's prison. If someone is transgender and male, I don't see any problem putting them into that population if they're convicted of something else. If it is a violent act, that's different. That's different because of who else they're going to be exposed to, and there are some consequences there. There also are some ideas about who they're acting out against. So that changes the conversation. But someone, as far as vandalism in this case, I don't see anything preventing it. I don't see any problem with it.
Join the conversation. Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Attacks taking place at a Colorado Tesla dealership have drawn the attention not only of journalists like Andy No, pointing out that Larimer sheriffs have gotten the gender wrong. It's not or sex wrong. I don't separate them, but that it's not Lucy Grace Nelson. It's actually a man named Justin Thomas Nelson, and J.K. Rowling weighing in, saying that we're continuing to have women or men. Obviously, that are men creating these problems, and she's even weighing in. So we'd love to have your thoughts on this, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. I see this as agenda-driven with regards to the coverage of it. It's clearly not a woman, according to Andy No. And the truth needs to be told here. And Bill thinks that the media, at least Andy No and J.K. Rowling, are focusing on the wrong thing. And and that as a result, we're stereotyping trans people. Where do you fall along the lines on this? You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. What's the crime? The vandalism or being trans?
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
A person in their 40s was arrested after police say they found explosives at a Tesla dealership in Colorado. This marking the latest instance in a series of events where people are vandalizing Tesla vehicles and dealerships in opposition to CEO and Doge leader Elon Musk, who was working with the Trump administration to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government. Legacy Media has named the suspect as Lucy Grace Nelson. However, a quick investigation identified the suspect as Justin Thomas Nelson. According to a news release from the Loveland Police Department, Nelson is being charged with having explosives or incendiary devices, felony criminal mischief, and criminal attempt to commit felonies. Police say they launched an extensive investigation on January 29th after the dealership was vandalized several times, adding that more incidents happened on February 2nd and February 7th, progressively becoming more severe. In addition, very offensive derogatory messages were left at the dealership. During police surveillance, Nelson was allegedly spotted with additional incendiary devices, along with materials attributed to vandalism. President Donald Trump welcomed Prime Minister Keir Starmer to the White House and praised Brexit, hinting that Britain may be spared tariffs while the EU may not be so lucky. Watch.
And we do have problems with the EU because they've tariffed us. They do it in the form of a VAT tax, which is about 20%, and many other taxes. They sue our companies. They sued Apple, got $16 or $17 billion, which was, I think, totally a ridiculous decision. And they're suing Google for a lot of money. They're suing a lot of other companies, and we don't like the way they're treating our people now. We don't like the way they're treating our companies. They sell us cars. We don't sell them cars. They don't take our cars. They don't take much of our agriculture. And we have a deficit with them of about $350 billion. So I wouldn't say it's been such a great relationship personally, but other people did because it's politically correct to say that it's been good, but it hasn't been good. And we're going to change that, and we are going to have reciprocal tariffs.
2A superstar Travis Hunter says he won't work out at the NFL Scouting Combine. The Heisman Trophy winner might play both quarterback and wide receiver in the NFL next season, after doing the same at Colorado under head coach Deion Sanders. Hunter said during his media availability in Indianapolis that it will be up to the team that drafts him to decide his primary position, but that he hoped he would be allowed to line up on both sides of the ball. Hunter says, quote, "I've been doing this for a long time, so I feel like I can keep doing it."
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Ohio, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking Lucy Grace Nelson, who was arrested in northern Colorado, is making national, international news because Lucy has been attacking Tesla car dealerships, and all the headlines are woman charged, woman charged, woman charged, woman charged. But Andy No and J.K. Rowling jumping in going, no, it's not Lucy Grace Nelson. It's actually Justin Thomas Nelson, who is actually a man being referred to as a woman in all the mainstream media reports. I think that this is a perfect example of the confusion transgenderism is creating in this society. I think it's very clear. You're either boy, girl, man, woman. It's rooted in your biology. Can a man wear a dress and try to want to be a woman? Yeah, he can. He has a freedom to do so, but he's not actually a woman. And the headlines are wrong. They have probably booked this prisoner into the female section of the jail. That affects the safety of women because he's a man by nature. He's going to be stronger. I'm not saying that he's going to attack them, but he already has a history of violence.
No, but yeah, you are. You're saying he will attack them.
He already has a history of violence.
But you said he put the women in danger. So you are saying he is going to attack him.
He's a stronger person. He's a man now put in with women, and he has demonstrated that he's a violent human being. Yeah. It's like, well, because he hasn't directly attacked a woman, the women should not feel unsafe around him.
The thing for me is that I told you that the violence is the line in which I will draw. I understand the idea of violence, but again, we have to look at how they're. That's a different level. I'm not certain that he's going to be able to plant bombs inside of a jail. And if he's acting out and attacking an individual, another person in jail, just like any other prisoner would inside a jail.
Yeah,
but hang on, you have violence.
Of all the confusion now. What's this person's real name?
Hang on.
We don't know. I don't know if it's Justin. I don't know if it's Lucy. I don't know if it's male or female. What the hell's going on up in northern Colorado? I don't know.
Yeah, and the one thing we need to be mad about is the fact the person's trans, not the crime they committed to the vandalism. That's where I'm pushing back on this, because what we're doing here is we're saying the crime is now the trans. That's the thing we need to be focused on. That's what we're mad about. We're not mad about what they're doing. That's what we're not doing here, and ignoring the vandalism that happened at the Tesla dealership. That's the actual crime that happened, but we're indicting this person, and we're calling them guilty just for being trans. That's the issue here. And I have talked about the idea of violence, but guess what? We house men with men. They beat each other up. We house women with women. They beat each other up. So the idea that we're introducing this person into the prison and that is the impetus for violence.
Separate them. There's a reason we separate them.
Hang on. Even with the same biological sex, there is still violence. So the idea that this person introduces violence into the prison system, I believe, is incorrect. Now, if the person is housed inside a women's prison and physically attacks or assaults a woman, then I will change where they are housed because of their personal behavior. Yes, I will do that. Absolutely.
You don't see all the confusion around this case. This isn't just...
Oh, yes, Andy No and you and everybody else. Yes, I see a ton of confusion.
This isn't
yes,
Justin Thomas Nelson attacked
lots of confusion.
A dealership. This is, we don't know their name. We don't know their gender. We don't know where to house them. All the confusion around this because our mainstream media and our culture has embraced trans ideology.
In 30 seconds, I just solved all that confusion. And we're still mad, and we're
is
still
it
mad
Lucy
about
Grace
who it is.
or
It's
Justin
Lucy.
Thomas?
It's Lucy. And Lucy should be housed in the female population because Lucy is presenting as a female. And so that's fine. And I will treat Lucy as a female. And if Lucy begins to assault other women in the prison, I will make different choices
But it's
and
not
house
Lucy,
her
it's
then
Justin
with,
Thomas.
according to you.
No.
And not according to
what
Lucy.
They're just changing, randomly
according to
changing,
Lucy.
and everybody
No.
else has to buy into this.
No.
I have to talk.
Yes,
tell
the one
this
thing we have to be mad
Lucy
about.
Grace Nelson is a woman when it's Justin Thomas Nelson and it's a dude.
The thing is, we adopt pronouns for other people, and we adopt chosen pronouns all the time. Even as Christians, we do it. We do it all the time. And the idea that this is, and the thing is here, we are angry about them being trans, not about the violence.
No,
that's
we're
the
not.
problem. Yes,
No.
yes. This entire thing, the last 40 minutes, has been about her being trans and what the media is doing, rather than focusing on the violence. The actual act that Lucy perpetrated has not been part of the discussion. It's about who Lucy chooses to be. That's what the argument is about. Who Lucy tries to be, not the actual action that she took. That's where it has to be
Not who Lucy just
on.
wants to be, but how everybody else has to embrace it. All right. We've got to get to a break here. Join the conversation, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking the Tesla attack, property damage attacks that took place up in northern Colorado. Bill, do you think this is just the tip of the iceberg? Are we going to see 4 years of Elon Musk dealing with Tesla being vandalized?
I think possibly, yeah, because of individuals that view the vandalism being their free speech. And I disagree with that vehemently. It's the same people that show up that are climate activists that throw things, onto paintings.
Stuff, yeah.
But in some ways, there are also people that can sometimes take violence or threats towards transgender or drag queens, shows or, drag queen story hours. So we've seen this on both sides, that the idea of the violence is the way to tramp down your speech or your individual identity. The more important thing, the way that you really, if you're mad at Elon Musk and you're mad at Tesla, mock the owners. Don't do anything to their cars, but mock them. The idea of the advertising campaign that just popped up this week internationally that tags Elon Musk and says, in 3 seconds can go from 0 to 1939. And it has Elon Musk giving the salute, and it tags the Tesla as the swastika. That's how you get Elon.
Volkswagen.
But again, the issue is though that
BMW, Mercedes.
The issue is though is the violence and vandalism at a Tesla dealership incredibly ineffective. Elon Musk's wealth is derived from the value of his company. You want to hurt Elon Musk, you drive down the value of his company, and that's by mocking the people that own Teslas. You want to get him?
All because you don't like his politics.
Just saying, if you want to get him, that's what you do. And you are free as a consumer to make the choice.
That's right. But I think you're going to see a lot more violence like this because that's who the left are. They're unrestrained cranks. We'll talk more about this. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS.
It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Friday, February 28th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations, you just woke up in the greatest country in history. Let's kick it off. You're heading to work. You're one of the doers out there. And boy, oh boy, do we have a conversation coming up for you on how to improve that, drive it to the next level. Joel Clary is going to join us, Regional Multimedia Sales Manager for Salem Media Group here. He's going to talk how you can really drive your business to the next level using Salem's help. Not going to want to miss that conversation. Let's check in with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jeff and Billy. 49 and sunny in Denver, expecting a high of 63 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story, Ukrainian President Zelensky is set to meet with DJT in D.C. today to sign a deal on sharing Ukrainian mineral resources. Hopefully he won't go home and talk trash about the U.S. to the media in Ukraine when he returns home. He does that occasionally. Cuts continue, but one federal judge trying to fight some of them. DOJ continues to plow ahead on day 39.
We are having great success in slimming down our government. It's been really very successful, and some took payouts and buyouts, and others took other things, and some people we're finding out don't even exist.
Former comedian Stephen Colbert. I know. It's Colbert.
Trump talked about all the stuff DOJ is cutting and all the stuff they're not cutting, and it got weird.
20 million here, 30 million here for, a little educational course on something. Circumcision, right? Circumcision.
That long, rambling response actually reminds me of circumcision because somebody really should have cut that head off.
That's funny. Okay. No, this is funny. Karine Jean-Pierre, KJP, remember her, talking about her old job.
The job is already a cooker pressure. It's already incredibly difficult, and to be the first to add that on top of what a difficult job, some people have said, it's the hardest job in the White House, it's a hard job, whatever. People would say that to me.
Would you say that?
I'd be like, yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you, it is.
A pressure cooker, indeed. The holdover FBI New York Southern District feeling the pressure from AG Pam Bondi. She wants all the Jeffrey Epstein goods to be exposed to the American people, but they are covering up for the pedos like Bill Clinton and God only knows who else in the globalist community, that big club. Just committing these crimes. Attorneys for some of the victims are angry.
What we saw evidence of was CSAM, this child pornography. This is the issue that the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office completely missed. And this is something that's so critical and could have put him away for life many, many, many years ago. So yes, my client, Maria Farmer, and many other clients are very upset that they've been treated with the back of the hand over and over. I called for an investigation of this matter a year and a half ago, and I got a big fat nothing. And I got a letter that says, well, the issues and the allegations are concerning, but we're really kind of busy and we'll get back to you. And of course,
That's Jennifer Freeman. UK Prime Minister Starmer at the White House Thursday, and J.D. Vance stood his ground on free speech, and Europe should be concerned.
I said what I said, which is that we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
Yeah, tell that to Tommy Robinson. The planets are set to align tonight in a rare celestial event. Just after dusk, Mercury will join Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Venus, and Saturn in the western sky. Iowa lawmakers have voted to eliminate civil rights protections from transgender citizens. The state made gender identity a protected class 18 years ago, meaning transgender people were shielded from discrimination in employment, housing, education, and public accommodations. However, Republican lawmakers voted to revoke those protections. The bill heads to the Republican governor's desk for final approval. And finally, on this Friday, if Tesla terrorist plotter 40-year-old Lucy Grace Nelson is a woman, my name is Karine Jean-Pierre.
The job is already a cooker pressure. It's already incredibly difficult.
NBA last night, the Nuggets lose to the Bucks 121-112. 45 in Castle Pines, 47 in Lakewood, 49 in Denver. Have a great week. Jeff and Billy continue.
And you know how we know you can't do the hard part? Because I'll show you. Haven't called, have you? You can't do the hard part. You can't go. He can't take 5 minutes as if he's going to go, because he's got a little bit of the, the runs and go to the bathroom and take 5 minutes to tell us and put us in our place. No.
TG, I love that, man.
Bill's the Kleenex reference, the runs.
Yes,
it's just
man.
all full of it
Hey,
today.
we got the sales guy in here. You realize what you're doing to me?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me
Yes. Did you realize? I'm gonna have to have a meeting after this now. Oh, man.
This was an anomaly.
Joel said, clean it up.
Exactly. Oh, you have no idea what just ran through my mind there about the references we just had.
I
I'm in so
forgot
much
my
trouble.
name. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Spring-like weather will dominate the weather forecast here in Denver and along the Front Range and Plains today through the weekend. So the last day of February today looks great. March comes in like a lamb for Saturday and Sunday. We'll be deep into the 60s. Overnight lows will be mostly in the 30s. Sunshine, a mix of high clouds and sun, just great weather. Sunday will bring increasing clouds, and there might be Sunday night to our south and east a few showers. Monday, clouding up, cooling off, rain and snow chances Monday night and Tuesday. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
All right, Bill, I got one phrase for you.
Human resources.
Show me the money.
Oh, good. Oh, good, good. That's a better phrase than what I'm going to have to listen to later today.
Show me the money. Donald Trump's president. We're going to kick off this economy. Things are going to be going great. And if you've got a business out there that you want to really press to the next level, new client acquisitions, get those deals done, get those clicks to your website, get those leads. The guy's doing it better than anybody else I know is the Salem Media Group team. And joining us is Joel Clary, who's in charge of that here in Colorado. Joel, thanks so much for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is all about getting money for the clients, man. Getting those deals in, getting the business in for them so that they can grow their business, right? That's what you guys deliver.
That's absolutely right, Jeff. We our sales department is one of the best sales teams in the market, and they do an outstanding job for the clients. And if there are any clients that are listening, there are great opportunities we have available. We are a full service agency, so we can do broadcasts, we can do events, we can do any type of digital offerings, whether it's web development, whether you want a geofence, event targeting, whatever it may be, we can do it all. And what we want the listeners to understand is that they have an opportunity to attach their name to your brand, to you and Bill's brand, where we can do it digitally. We can do it on site. We can do endorsement campaigns. We can do it all. And we encourage people to call in, and we can come out, do an assessment, see what we can help, the way we can help you guys out, and make money for you guys. Because in this economy, as it begins to get better and better and better, now's the time to get in front of all the advertisers that are beginning to flood our airwaves. So
exactly right.
So if you have an opportunity to, if you need someone to come out and do an assessment on your business, just give us a buzz. And you can call me directly at 303-481-3758. That's 303-481-3758.
Well, let's talk about some of these specifics. All right, let's use a great example of events. Dude, IHOP. All right, so IHOP comes to us via Mike Boyle and you guys, and they're like, let's host a live broadcast there. We pack the place out, right? So even the district manager's like, you guys brought in a ton of business. This is great. Everyone's buying food. They're getting their revenue up. We're having a great time. We're broadcasting. Then we not only talk about the news, we make news.
Yep.
So everybody's talking on site, right? Because of what happened between Darcy Shanning and Britta Horn in the lawsuit with the Colorado Republican Party. It wasn't violent, but it got served. It was like a scene out of the Real Housewives of the Colorado Republican Party. So you have all this activity, all this fun. Everyone's talking about IHOP. And then even Channel 9 picks it up. They're talking about IHOP. And they're reading off some of the menu items and promotions that IHOP had. IHOP just invited us. And we end up blowing the whole thing up. And I think they've got to be going, that was the best return on any advertising we've had in a long time.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. If there's any restaurants out there that wants to come out and bring the show on the road, happy to do it.
Bill and I are definitely happy to do it because they tend to feed us, and it's great. Most mornings, I mean, a diet bar.
I had pancakes and a burger. This was great. It was fantastic.
Now, here, I want to talk about the digital side of things because I ran a digital ad agency for years. Lots of clients. I remember talking them through, like, Google advertising. Because here's what typically happens to somebody. You get something in the mail, and it says $500 of Google advertising. And they're like, great. So they sign up for it. They don't know what keywords to put in, right? How to design an ad. You blow through the $500 because your competitor's spending $6,000. And so you have to get into keyword bidding, all this stuff. Look, you just want people to come to your website, right? That's all you want. So you're either going to sit there by yourself as a business owner trying to manage all your clients and take care of your employees and get the taxes done, all that, and meanwhile try to teach yourself digital ad programming with your little $500 Google ad credit, or you call the Salem guys. They sit down, and what do you all do for them?
First thing we do a digital audit, and from scoop to nuts, and it's free of charge. And we will tell you the good, the bad, the ugly. And what we want to do for you is to, once we take this assessment, we'll walk you through all the things that you need to do. If your website is mobile friendly, because 60% of all search volume are things that people are buying is being done on a mobile device. So we're going to walk you through everything and give you and let you know exactly what you should be doing to help your business out. And we can do all these things for you, because instead of you paying Google AdWords $500 a month or trying to boost your Facebook and things like that, we can do all these things for you at a low price point. And the best thing about it is that we're going to get your name up a little bit higher in the search engine and drive more business to you. Because like I said, our sales team is one of the best in the market, and they'll do a complete assessment of your entire business, whereas most salespeople, when they go to talk to people, they're just trying to get the next check. What our team will go out and do, they're going to try to figure out what your outcomes that you're trying to get with your business. If you're trying to get more sales, if you're trying to get more jobs, if you're trying to just boost the image of your business, they're going to find that out, and they're going to show you exactly how to do it at the most affordable price.
And you can track it all too, which is really helpful, right?
Absolutely. We come out every month and do a recap meeting because we track everything that we're doing.
That matters, because in the old days of advertising, it was broadcast. It was the entire city. You put it out there, and it just went big. And where did your business come from? I don't know. But today, you can figure out exactly which keywords are driving people to your business, exactly which sector, whether it's social media or emails or Google ads or whatever it might be. You can track it all. That way, you're putting your money into the best area of investment for the greatest return. No more ad waste. It's about delivering results.
Right, and here's the greatest thing about the digital world. It's very targeted. I can take, if you were trying to target a let's say it's a rodeo, and so you've got a department store that, like a big R stores, where you're trying to get all the people that went to that rodeo event. I can put an invisible fence around wherever that rodeo event is, deliver ads to everyone in there about all the things that big R stores may have. So, and then I can retarget them over the next 30, 60 days with another ad, tell them, hey, thanks for coming to the rodeo. Come, be sure to stop in the big R stores. We'll give you 20% off. So that's how cool the digital world is.
It is so critical. I'm talking to Joel Clary. He runs our Salem media, the Salem Surround media division here in Colorado, helping small businesses, medium, big businesses achieve their marketing dreams. Look, guys, there's a wave coming. It's a good economy. We know it. We voted for it. That wave's going to be coming. You're either going to be responding late in the crest of that wave, trying to catch up to everybody else that's riding it and building their businesses. Look, you've suffered through a bad economy and Joe Biden long enough. That wave's coming. Get on the front end of it, and it's a no obligation, no cost analysis, right? You guys will sit down and talk with people and help them figure it out. They can then decide if it's the best way to move forward.
Absolutely.
Is that right, Joel?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so Joel Clary, give him the phone number again.
303-481-3758. That's 303-481-3758.
I got one more question for you. The show is building. Man, is it building. Elon Musk commented on one of our jokes yesterday. Right? We were rated by Westward as the top talk radio show in Denver. I am now surpassing some Channel 9 anchors in my number of followers on X. Just wanted to point that out to Chris Vanderveen yesterday. So people are following us. We're building a movement. We're getting listeners and followers here, and we're trying to drive an agenda of change for the city of Denver and the state of Colorado. So how can people support our show, become branded sponsors, that type of thing?
Well, if you give us a call, there's several ways how we can do this. It can be through an endorsement opportunity. We can make sure that if for the people that are video streaming us right now, we can have your logos in the background here. There's plenty of ways how we can do this, whether it's through the digital way, whether it's at events. We can always help people out. So just give us a call, and we'll be glad to show you the way how we can help boost your business.
Is there an opportunity for people to pay to, for instance, dump cold water on Billy?
We can arrange that.
Hey, all right, I'm up for that.
a dunking booth or something?
Yeah,
no,
dunking
I am serious
booth.
about that. I am serious. I will put Jeff in a dunking booth in a second.
Joel Clary, phone number one more time.
303-481-3758.
That's awesome. All right, Salem Surround doing great work here in Colorado. Let's build these businesses in spite of all the stupid government regulations. Salem is here to help you. And I'm telling you, that economic wave is coming. Do not wait for that wave to crest. It's going to be a lot harder. Get ahead of it now and just talk to them for free. Joel Clary, Salem Surround with the Salem Media Group. All right, Bill, we got some cowboy poetry coming up.
Yes,
here
we do.
soon. So you want to stick around as we saunter into our weekend with Jeff Hildebrandt, our 710 KNUS Cowboy Poet Laureate. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. I prefer to mosey. More my speed.
At this hour, I'm Christina Owayo in Dallas, and here are your top stories.
Senator Eric Nesbitt is calling out the Democrat governor of Michigan, who is once again asking residents to pay more in taxes to fix the roads because they don't have the money. Nesbitt taking to X to say Gretchen Whitmer just said we need to find new sources of revenue, parentheses, more taxes, to fix the roads because we don't have enough money. However, we did have $4.5 billion for corporate welfare, $125 million for a Chinese Communist Party-linked battery plant, $1 million for horseback riding in Detroit, $2.9 million for e-bikes, $2 million for a boxing gym, $10 million for a zoo, and $15 million for aerial drone projects. Nesbitt goes on to say, like every other Democrat governor before her, she's pushing for higher taxes in the name of fixing the roads. And once the money is in her hand, she's going to spend it on everything but. Whitmer campaigned on fixing the roads when running for office and has dubbed her new plan My Road Ahead plan, in which she plans on raising $1.6 billion in additional revenue by taxing trucking companies, saying they should, quote, pay their fair share to do business in Michigan, according to local media. Whitmer also wants to spend an additional $1.2 billion for roads, bridges, and transit that she'll get by raising taxes at the pump. Michigan drivers pay 6% sales tax on gas and a 31-cent per gallon fuel tax. Of the $3 billion raised, $1 billion would be used on local roads. Critics say when Whitmer first took office, she proposed a 45-cent gas tax increase to deliver on her 2018 campaign pledge to fix the roads. After lawmakers rebuffed her, the governor moved forward with a $3.5 billion road bonding plan approved in 2020. They said that eventually cost taxpayers $6.5 billion. Whitmer warned in a speech at the Detroit Auto Show last month that Michigan faces a road funding cliff. U.S. Agency for International Development Workers, Summonteers, are carting away belongings from a final visit to their now closed headquarters. The Trump administration's rapid dismantling of the controversial agency is moving into its final stages. The move comes after DOJ discovered billions of dollars being wasted, sent to foreign countries to push DEI initiatives, and even found funding was being funneled to terrorists or organizations linked to terrorist groups. Notices sent out in mass mailings this week are terminating over 90% of USAID's contracts, and the Supreme Court has temporarily blocked a judge's order requiring the administration to release billions of dollars in foreign aid. The administration notified most USAID staffers this week that they were on leave or terminated.
That's what you need to know at this hour. In Dallas, Christina Ohio, Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. It's that time for some cowboy poetry. This was one of the bigger hits we had at IHOP the other day, in addition to the Real Housewives of the Colorado Republican Party. That would be a good reality TV show.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it would be.
The only problem is you don't have anybody to script the reality show.
That's true. Wouldn't need to be. And we were talking a little bit earlier about the Tate brothers and masculinity and femininity, and our poet laureate here has a poem specifically on women and their driving.
Drivers.
Women drivers.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
This is going to be a fun one.
While driving to my office in the morning rush hour haze, a woman driver passed me, and I was just amazed. Her left hand's on the steering wheel. She's leaning to her right, staring in the mirror. It was quite a funny sight as she fiddled with her makeup while driving 65. But then she swerved into my lane. I'm lucky I survived. I quickly put my seatbelt on and gave the wheel a jerk. That's when I dropped my donut and the chocolate stained my shirt. I needed both hands on the wheel. It made me drop my cell. It splashed into my coffee cup, and I began to yell, "Hot coffee, hot, hot coffee," running down my thigh. That's when I got pulled over, Judge, and she's the reason why.
Love that.
That is a really good one.
Oh, that's wonderful.
What did you think of the IHOP event, Jeff Hildebrandt? You had some good pancake poems for us.
Yeah, they were kind of flat.
Were you the one that wrote Kyle Clark's piece? Did you hear it?
No.
You didn't hear it?
I don't write for Kyle Clark.
Well, it sounds like it. Here, listen to the first part of this. Oh, sorry.
This is live radio, you know.
Jumping on Bill here.
Like many families, the Colorado Republican Party tends to have its fights and meltdowns in public. Today, one faction of the party served another faction of the party with a lawsuit at an IHOP restaurant. As diners in Greenwood Village enjoyed the breakfast faves combo, the house scramble, and the pancake of the month, one candidate for the Colorado GOP chair dropped a double stack of litigation on the plate of a rival.
You're still better. You're
He's
better
good.
poet.
You ought to have him on.
Right. Somebody in his staff is writing. But you had better You had better poetry at
Well,
IHOP
thank you. Thank you very much.
Kyle could provide that
and
story.
They had better pancakes.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So you got some poems around the Gunsmoke Legends.
Well, I tell you what. This one is, it's called Gunsmoke Legends, and it's adapted from another poem. The other poem was called Cowboy Legends, and I'm pretty proud of it because it's the one that I performed when I was on tour in mainland China. What?
Wow.
Doing cowboy poetry in China?
Yeah.
Yes. As a matter of fact, part of the Great American Cowboy Concert Tour, we were invited by the Chinese government to come over and do cowboy music and cowboy poetry in Beijing, Shanghai. We also did the first concert, acoustic concert, that was ever held on top of the Great Wall of China while we were up there. Anyway, I was the MC, and which kind of put a kink in the poetry because I'd do a line and then somebody would read it in Chinese. And I'm thinking, really? Does that rhyme? No, I don't know. Anyway, so...
I imagine they have do they eat cattle over in China? They eat beef?
Eat a lot of chicken and fish.
Chicken and fish?
Yeah.
But
the problem with that, I could not wait to get back into the States to have some real Chinese food.
It is not the same. That's exactly right.
You know, when it looks back at you, no, take the head off, okay? Anyway, this is called Gunsmoke Legends. They were cowboy legends from their hats to their boots. They could ride like the wind. They could rope and could shoot. And we'd visit Dodge City on Saturday nights to cheer as Matt Dillon would fight for the rights of any lost soul who wandered that way, and we dreamed that we'd do the same thing someday. Matt Dillon, Chester, Festus, and Newly, Doc and Miss Kitty, we all loved you truly. But the good guys are gone. What's left us today are heroes whose morals and feet are of clay. So I guess if young cowpokes are going to learn how to respect one another, we've got to start now, to teach them there's value in all that God's made, to show love and compassion, not anger and hate. The young ones need heroes to learn what to do. So saddle up, pard, because that hero's you.
I love it.
That is cool.
I love it. And
That's
you
the
have,
idea.
in addition to that, the son of the Gunsmoke Legends. Or no, is that Tumbleweeds?
Sons of the Tumbleweeds.
So, but is it Tumbleweeds and then Sons of Tumbleweeds?
Yeah.
I got that wrong. All right.
Yeah.
Tumbleweeds.
Okay, Tumbleweeds. You may know a guy by the name of Bob Nolan.
I don't.
Who started Sons of the Pioneers.
Okay.
With Roy Rogers was in the Sons of the Pioneers. And by the way, when they first started, they called themselves the Pioneers. And they toured the country at radio stations. And finally, one DJ at a radio station said, "You guys cannot be pioneers. You're not that old. You must be like Sons of the Pioneers." Bingo, light came on. That was their name from then on. Anyway, Bob Nolan sang of tumbleweeds just drifting across the plains. And even now when cowboys sing, you'll hear that same refrain. I think about those tumbleweeds just tumbling to and fro, always changing their direction with how the wind will blow. The tumbleweed just tumbles because it's broken free. It has no roots to hold it back. It's dead as dead can be. And in that song, a cowboy was drifting that way too. He had no firm foundation that he could hold on to. And there are times we all can be like tumbling tumbleweeds, just blown in all directions by self-centeredness and greed. When we don't have living water or feed on God's own word, we're like that drifting tumbleweed, of that I am assured. But there is hope for tumbleweeds. Don't take this truth for granted. God's the gardener of our soul, and we can be replanted.
That's so good. Well done.
Thank you.
I feel built like a tumbleweed sometime in my life.
Well, I can understand that with
to be rooted back in Christ.
The gardener across the glass there.
Yes. Some instead of a gardener would necessarily call me a winnower, but that's it's something totally different. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I haven't seen Bill this active on the X's or on the
text. This is fun.
on the text messages.
Yeah.
You are all in. You are getting into some real debates over
and there's some stuff that we're doing. Yeah, not even on the air. I mean, there's some stuff that we've gotten into that are a little bit more in depth than the stuff that we did on the air this morning. That's because again, we're having the conversation. There are going to be multiple levels of conversation. If the person has the time to engage,
text in, Bill will debate with you.
And as long as and you engage, as an adult. We can agree to disagree, and we can respect each other's opinions and go back and forth and have the conversation. Absolutely. We get into the name calling, or like the dude that called in earlier and hoped that I die. That's fine. I mean, you want to behave like a sixth grader? Okay, we've got a couple of those texts. Some people, like at Eric Manning, the list of things that he texts me in the morning, the things that come out, I mean, it is ridiculous sometimes. But, he wants to engage that way. That's fine. But, we can engage different ways. I mean, what was it this morning? This was one from Eric, but I'm going to replace the things that he said that were the curse words. Wow, Billy, you smurf head. This is a free country, you smurf. You can't tell anyone what you do, you smurf. You're smurfing insane, dude. You even think that. Wow. And that's just one of like the 7 I got this morning.
Oh, man.
There's another one here that says, from Eric Manning, I'm broke, ugly, and a bunch of other stuff, and smurfing crazy and angry, and smurf yourself. And I mean, wow. It's, again. But that's, that's the stuff that he does when he's in private.
Okay.
Can't call the station, but that's okay.
All right. Calm down. For those who are out in the world, in the real world, as opposed to showbiz here. I want you to understand, Billy is having pancake withdrawal from Wednesday.
Yes. My diabetes is acting up again.
It's coming down.
Yes.
It happens like this. Somebody get him a popsicle.
Yes, popsicle. Some Skittles or something.
Something. Oh, yeah.
And I'm impressed by just the bouncing back between the English language that exists here, from Billy and Smurf with Eric Manning to well-versed poetry over here with Jeff Hildebrand.
Exactly.
Man, I tell you, whiplash.
I know. It feels schizophrenic almost.
It does.
We have Hildebrand here doing beautiful poetry, calling us to the Word of God and our relationship with Jesus. And Billy reading the angry text.
Yeah, and people calling me and saying they hope I die. That's, that's my morning.
Well,
Welcome to the Jeff and Bill show.
Elon hid his identity when he called.
Yes, he did. He used that clever voice masking he's used in other things, where he's pretended to be other people commenting on how smart Elon is on his own X, on his own Twitter. That he's done that. He's gone out there and he's interacted in these groups with people, and he defends himself, and he does it with a voice modifier. Yeah.
That is funny. All right, and then in addition to Tumbleweed, we have Son of Tumbleweed.
Sons of the Tumbleweed. Now, this is about some local musicians. Somebody out there may know them. If you don't, that's okay. They sang of ring-tailed ponies and riding for the brand, and I could almost smell the campfire when I heard their cowboy band. There was Guitar Bill and Fiddlin' John and friends of the Double B, and all who heard 'em sang along with these sons of the tumbleweed. When Johnny would play fiddle, it was hearing history, and I swore the music came from back in 1883, when a cowboy and his lady would dance Virginia's reel, or waltz away the evening, waiting for a kiss to steal. And when Guitar Bill was picking, you would watch his fingers fly. It would sound like cattle running and ghost riders in the sky. I could feel the morning misting on the Colorado slopes, see the sunset on the prairie with the deer and antelopes. I sure do miss old Guitar Bill and his sidekick Fiddlin' John. Their music still stirs memories of good times that are gone, like the time the crowd grew silent as they sang the old puncher's prayer, and the thunderous ovations from the folks who joined me there. But I realize that times have changed in, so many ways, and yet there's still some comfort in reliving the good old days.
I love it. That gets me excited for summer here in Colorado, and summer nights and rodeos and all that good stuff.
Yeah, Jeff loves the rodeos.
Yeah, it was great, Jeff Hildebrand. Well, we're going to continue.
Radios. Love them radios, boy.
Yes.
Get out there and ride that Billy.
But all the descriptions you had in that one, that was beautiful. I took my mind to the best part of living in Colorado, which is summertime.
And shoveling up after the horse.
That's right. All right, we're going to continue with Jeff Hildebrand as we wrap up this week. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill, the weather this weekend is going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah, it is.
High today 67. Tomorrow 65, 62. This is horse riding weather.
Yeah.
Get out on the horse.
Oh, this is.
And I got a tractor coming on Monday. I'm very excited to do
you
my
guys
little
did
ranch.
Tractor driving thingies.
Yeah, took my wife and put her in a skid steer. It was fun to watch her driving around. Big smile on her face. She was having a ball.
Oh,
so that's
great.
coming Monday. We're going to be out on the horses this weekend, and we'll get the goats out and all that stuff. Man, it's great weather.
I might even get the snakes outside.
Let's hope.
Do you take them outside?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they love the interaction outside. And
are you ever afraid they may just take off into a hole somewhere?
This is silly. Okay, this is really weird. This is really weird, everybody. Okay, this is, and I admit this is strange. There are times that when I'm doing some stuff outside, I have a it's a soft. It's actually a kitty playpen, not kids like little kids. Kittens like meow. Yeah, and it has a zip on the top, so it's self-enclosed, and it's a playpen for kittens when they're young. But I saw it on sale at the store, and I use it to take the snakes outside. Now, it was singly, but I'll put them, if I'm doing something outside, I'll take one of them out if they're active, etc., and I'll just put them in there, zip it, and put some stuff in there and let them run around and be outside, and I know they can't go anywhere. Yes, although...
Do they, like, going outside for a snake, is it all about the scents and the smells and the sunlight and all that stuff, right?
And it's an entirely new environment with a whole bunch of different enrichment and experiences. And although I might have had some of my neighbors look at me, because sometimes I'll take the snakes on a walk with me with the dog, where I'll just have one of them around my arm as I'm going through the neighborhood.
Nice.
And depending on the size, depends on the looks I get, because some of them are 5 feet, some of them are like 2 feet. So it depends on which one I've got. It depends on how far I get a berth of people walking around me and not being near me, which sometimes is a positive.
Wait, you wrap the snake around your arm?
Oh yeah, it'll stay on my arm.
You don't have a snake leash?
I
when
tried. I tried, but it doesn't go as fast as the dog.
The pink snake can't act as a leash?
No, it can't.
For the other snakes?
I know, no. I was surprised as you are. I thought it would work that way, but no. Found out, no, it didn't. We tried. I tried the little leash. It didn't go well. So that's the problem.
Well, joining us as we saunter into this weekend is Jeff Hildebrandt, Cowboy Poet Laureate. And he was at IHOP, literally a standing ovation for some of those poems you were providing.
No, they were waiting in line for the pancakes.
Or standing up to stretch after eating the pancakes. You've got a few more to take us into the weekend, sir.
Excuse me. Okay. So here's for this weekend. You heard what Jeff's going to do. He's going to go out and milk his tractor. No, what did you say? You're going to ride your tractor and ride the horse, and it's going to be just swell. Well, for the rest of us, it's time to discover your inner cowboy. There's a picture on his office wall of a cowboy who's standing tall with a saddle pony grazing by his side. The background on her computer screen is of a Texas cattle queen riding through the rolling hills with pride. They're not the most idyllic scenes. The grass and brush are brown, not green. But to those indoors, they have a raw appeal. They're true-life snapshots of the West, and the caption on them says it best. Discover how your inner cowboy feels. In his mind, he feels the autumn chill, in the breeze that blows from off the hill, where the cattle he is tending stop to graze. The clouds foretell a change of weather. She hears the creak of saddle leather and feels the freshness from the morning haze. They're lost inside this Western art, which brings a calming to their heart, releasing stress that grips them like a vice. The picture brings a sweet release. Their inner cowboy is at peace, and that, my friend, is worth near any price.
You know, I'm at a point now where I just close my eyes and listen.
Yeah.
I enjoy.
It's just such a way
where
with
my
words.
mind
so
goes.
nice.
Because I haven't read these poems before, so I'm hearing them for the very first time. So you just let your mind go. Where now, if you're driving, don't do that. But for all of our
But
listeners
if you have a
out there,
Tesla,
close
I'm
your
just
eyes.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is that I find myself doing that too. Is it's a
Yeah.
moment of introspection, of letting Jeff paint my imagination, of letting his words
Yes.
draw out the colors, the scene, the scenario, because it is so individualistic. And the scene that I draw in my head, I'm sure is different than the one that Jeff's drawing in his head. And I'm sure it's the one that's different than Jeff Hildebrandt when he was creating it. But that's the beauty inside of this art, that it is universal, but it is also incredibly individual. It's something that is incredibly unique. And he has a gift. And I'm glad that he gets to share it with us every week.
I think we've got one more to wrap us up here, right, sir?
Okay. I don't know. I'm still lost inside my brain and going in different directions. All right, this is a picture. You can close your eyes on this one and visualize it. And it's actually one long sentence, but I'm going to have to breathe. His Stetson cast a shadow on the red print bandana round the collar of his starched Sears and Roebuck shirt with the snap pockets that's tucked into his pressed blue Levi's, held up by a hand-tooled belt with his shiny silver best all-around trophy buckle that reflects the points on his highly polished Tony Lamas with the 2-inch heels, and Jingle Bob spurs that clink each time he takes a step. I guess he ain't staying in the bunkhouse tonight.
That's a good one on a Friday night. I love it. That's great. Jeff Hildebrandt, where can people get your poetry, sir?
If they come to the parking lot out here, I have a bag of books.
Yeah, you can find them on Amazon,
On
right?
Amazon,
Amazon, Jeff Hildebrandt, Cowboy Poetry. We get so many demands for this. I think we got to create a part of our website to put these up there on. But thank you, sir.
I need to call the guy that was in here before. And
Joel Clary.
Digital, I'll do digitally.
That's exactly right.
Digitize.
It's been a wild week. I want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in with us. Thank you, Jeff Hildebrandt, for taking us into the weekend. If you missed any of it, including the notorious IHOP broadcast, go to 710knus.com. You can download the podcast there. Bill, you think we're going to see any big Epstein announcements today?
No.
I'm kind of with you on this one, dude.
Nope, no way, no how, no.
Yesterday was a little bit of a rough day for the PR operation.
The issue is this. If they felt they could release it, if they felt that the list wasn't going to be an earthquake, we'd have it.
Yep.
The fact that it has not been released tells you everything. And if we do get it, it's going to be severely redacted because all the names that you want to see will be the ones blacked out. That's how this is going to work.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to be watching that. So when we come back next week, we're going to be on top of that stuff, plus all the firings, what's happening with Noah. Goodness gracious, there's a lot of news to be covering. Plus, Mike Johnston next week's before Congress.
Yes.
Wow. So it's
who
we'll
knows?
See how he does.
Maybe there's be a Jeff and Bill road trip. Maybe
Did you
we
see
should
how
do
much
that.
on lawyers he's spending to prepare for this?
Oh no.
$2 million.
What?
Yes.
Dude, should have called me. I could do it in 30 minutes with him. Bad money spent.
We'll be back next week to cover all of it. Don't miss great shows this week, including Pete Boyles, John Caldera, and Mike Boyle. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader. We are News Talk 710 KNUS.